government to generate more revenue, which is our biggest concern today.
And Paul, just looking at some of the conversations around state becoming much more independent entities when it comes to financial support. Now, the reality remains that every state has a comparative advantage. Why does this still remain a blind spot for most authorities or governments at a subnational level?
Well, it is a huge concern, or it's become very difficult. Because there is always a federal government to collect money from. And people also are not rightly informed. If you know that if you don't work, you will not eat, you will think twice before you contest in an election. So people who are contesting election, they are doing so because they know that there is crude oil, or what we call petroleum profit tax, that account for over 70 or 80% of FX to Nigeria and over 50% of government revenue, and they know that this revenue will be shared. Monies that is collected from VAT, whether it is from that state or not, is also going to be shared. So people feel that even though we don't generate as much, even if we don't generate up to 50% of our recurrent expenditure, we are certain that monies will be shared to us. But when the narrative change, which I hope will change, of course, this is going to come into force, what revenue mobilization and allocation and fiscal commission is saying. I wish we had patterned this change in another direction. It will be based on state performance. And this will be based on percentage improvement for more revenue to be allocated to states. And I hope that federal government and Ministry of Finance that will be supporting states when they want to borrow money should ensure that states that is not performing in its revenue drive don't have access to more loans. The question is, how are they going to pay back? There are a lot of revenue across states. Do you want to talk about agriculture? Quite a number of states have access to arable lands that they can partner with federal government or partner with central bank through different programs central bank is running today, which of course can help reduce unemployment at the state level, improve availability of food, and also reduce food inflation. Whatever happened to a state, we have a way of rubbing off on the entire federation. But this is not what we have seen. What we've seen most of the time is that those who are running states are very, very good with politics, but they are very, very poor with economy, even though this does not apply to all the states. But some of the states, as we continue to see numbers coming from National Bureau of Statistics, as poverty gets entrenched in the states, hunger and deprivation at the state level, and we see high inflation at the state level, at the same time with high unemployment. The question is, who exactly is leading the state? It is easy for us to quickly point to the center. What we don't understand is that the Nigerian country, plus the FCT, if you like, call it 37, and all of these states must provide what the people need in terms of environment and so on and so forth. And that is why Constitution needs to be reviewed so that responsibility can match with the revenue that we are giving to state. Then we will know who to hold accountable. When there is high unemployment, everybody runs to the center. The question is what is happening to subnational that are always coming to pick monies, and whether these monies are spent rightly or wrongly, it's a different conversation entirely.
Paul, we are gradually wrapping up our conversation now, and I like the thought which you left just now, responsibility matching up with the revenue provided. Now, irrespective of the structure shortfall we have, which also limits the capacities of state to generate as much, irrespective of the level of comparative advantages, talk of agriculture, mineral deposit, and a whole lot more. But within the area of research and value addition, to what extent do you see us now presenting much more a formidable force in terms of value addition, synergy between investment, promotion, and an export agenda at the state level going forward? The year 2021 is gradually wrapped up to an end, wrapping up to an end. We see forecasts for the year 2022 coming on board. To what extent do you now see these bodies in charge of investment, promotion, and export also taking shape and taking the agenda much more seriously, and government setting a pace within these lines?
Well, I think state authority and fiscal authority in different states, we need to roll their sleeves. They need to become more innovative. Everybody belongs to a state. We all do not belong to Lagos State or the FCT or River State. These are star locations, and if you compare their revenue to their performance, is relatively better off compared to the rest of the federation. But if I were to speak directly to the state, why don't you woo people who are remitting, withholding taxes and so on and so forth to these three regions so that some of the revenues will come to your state? That on one hand. States also need to analyze what revenue, what their asset looks like. Do they have state corporation? Do they have fiscal asset for the state? To what extent is the skill of human resources within the state? Because you cannot generate revenue beyond the potential of your asset. Most states don't even have asset diary. They don't even know what they have in terms of assets. We run states just administratively and not applying economics to the running of states so that we can have more revenue. So if you want to improve in terms of revenue generation, particularly for states, there are things that states and federal need to do for revenue to boost, which will include provide relative security, also provide at least basic environment for business to thrive. The rest will now lie with chief executive at the state level and also fiscal authority at the state level so that we can have more and more people come to invest. If there are poor exchange rates and the one we cannot predict as we're experiencing right now, I'm afraid we will not attract as much as what we expect to have in revenue. But for us to do this, state and federal, perhaps at the Economic Council, we need to decide what do we want to do? Do we want to attract investment first before we put infrastructure in place? Or we put infrastructure in place, then you attract investment. You want without infrastructure. And if you say you want to put infrastructure in place, then you need to bother about getting more revenue for this infrastructure to be in place. These are concerns that state government we have, and I hope they'll be able to solve. When you look at what Lagos state government have started doing is to partner with federal government rail line, which they call the rail line, and they also have the blue line, which perhaps is going to come from somewhere close to Badagry, are coming into Lagos state. The revenue this will give the state in the coming period will position Lagos state even much better than the state is, reduce traffic and so on and so forth. The last time I checked, Lagos is not the only state with huge population. And we have train tracks in other locations of the country. So can we become more innovative as Lagos State start to demonstrate this in their revenue drive and in their expenditure? World Bank is willing to throw weight behind Lagos State. Central Bank is willing to throw their weight behind Lagos State because they are seeing a direction with which the state is going. More states we need to show direction. The question is, of over 20 million population in Lagos, what can Osun State, few kilometers away from Lagos, who is battling with revenue concerns and also debt service, what can the state provide for Lagos if truly they are sister state? But if Osun is still operating within the small sphere, I'm afraid it may continue to struggle with revenue and continue to struggle with debt service and issues of paying salaries. The same applies to Ekiti. The same applies to Ondo. What can Ondo provide, even though Ondo seems to be relatively balanced more than the state of Osun as they call it? So for me, I think we need to have people that are more purposeful, people that have more direction and are more open-minded to run state with their fiscal authority so that we can position our state and revenue in a better position for the books.
And just before I let you go now, Paul, let's look at nipping in the bud the menace of corruption now. To what extent do you also see us developing transparency and implementation index when it comes to all of these?
Sorry, if you can help me repeat that.
Yes, I'm saying that within the context of allocations, we also have to look at the issue of corruption, mismanagement of funds, misappropriation, and other issues such as these. To what extent do you see us also developing a much more robust framework for transparency and implementation index? We need to test over time and data presentation to see that these revenue or funds provided for are properly utilized.
Well, you mentioned the solution to corruption is transparency. Now, we have anti-graft agencies, but to stop corruption, anti-graft agencies should not be the first line that we put forward. It has to be transparency. And one of the things that can help us with transparency will be to adopt a digital system, a digital economy, one in which All records of government must be available for those that need it. All contracts must also be available for those who are competing or competitors of some sort, if you like. But what we have seen most of the time is that we need to write under Freedom of Information Act in order to have information of how government is running its operation. This will not help us to achieve transparency. If 10 people are bidding for the same contract, it should be available online so we know exactly what we are bidding for. And cost of materials should also be made available online. This, to a large extent, will reduce the level of corruption that we have. In a dark room, you may see cockroaches. But when you open it up and there is light everywhere, cockroaches, in this case corruption, will disappear. We cannot continue to keep darkness and hope that we are going to chase corruption from our country. It is unfortunate because we will not see this. Most government revenue fiscal arm should transform their processes to physical paper, to online process that people can access at any time. That's when we know if the construction company in Lagos is also the one in Abuja, is also the one in Sokoto, is also so that we can ask question, what is happening to local contractors? Why have they been excluded in contracts on road, on works, and so on and so forth, including housing going on in Nigeria? So my solution, or the advice I've given to those in government, has been for you to reduce corruption, improve your level of transparency. And with transparency, it is difficult for corruption to thrive. If not, as you make the money from one hand, remember that it's not enough, or as you borrow from one hand, you see that most of the money are going through the other hand, and unfortunately, it is corruption. You are not going to see the impact. Poverty level may increase, inflation may increase, high unemployment, and so on and so forth. And we ask that with all of this money that governments have collected at the state, local, and federal level, why is it that we are not feeling the impact as such in the lives of our people? Well, government has done its best, but corruption still seems to be available in our midst. That is why we are not feeling so much impact of government. But transparency will help us to reduce that significantly.
Thank you very much for your thoughts there. Paul Elijah, it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's now time to bring you the closing details from the floor of the Nigerian exchange. The market is closing negative today with the all-share index down 0.15%. Top gainers for today, we have Interbrew, Lazarco, Lincolnshire, Chams, as well as O&O. And top losers, we have UACN, FTN Cocoa, FBNH, Unity Bank, as well as Chi PLC. Joining me to discuss this and much more, I have market analyst and stockbroker Rotimi Fakaijo. Many thanks for joining us, Rotimi. Yes, Rotimi, thank you very much for joining us. Now, the market is closing negative. This is the second day of the month of November. Bearish sentiments are gradually creeping into the month. How do you see things playing out today, and what are the fundamentals taking charge?
Well, I think from the indication of how the market trended today, the market breadth is negative, as we have about 32 securities losing in their share prices and just about 8 gainers. And that tells us to say that we are experiencing a bearish trend in the market. And I think the extent to which the market went today, the change in the all-share index will have been more, if not for the price change that we see in Boa Cement. So I believe strongly that a lot of things are playing out. There is profit taking in some securities. But at the same time, too, the negative sentiment trailing FDN holdings is another thing that is a big worry to the market, because there's yet a clarification to be made as to the leadership tussle or the person that is having the highest stake in the bank. That clarification has not yet been made, and the Nigerian exchange group has already queried that. So I think if clarification is made and we know where we are with that particular security, because FDN holdings is a very sensitive company among the listed companies on the exchange. So I believe that this definitely also will have a positive impact on the market, even when that clarification is made.
So would you now say that we are likely not to necessarily see the bullish sentiments we recorded in the month of October replicate this month?
Well, we're still going to have a comeback to that. But I think for this week, it may not really be as it was. But definitely the month will still end. From what we have seen from the fundamentals of the company results released so far, I think the market is still good to go. So for the ones that are still outstanding, by the time those ones are turned in, then definitely the market will be on the go again.
Thank you very much there, Rotimi Fakaijo. Thank you very much for speaking with us this afternoon. Well, now, shifting focus to the international front now, global shares idled just below record highs today, and currencies held tight ranges as nervous investors await the Federal Reserve's policy meeting, one of the several central bank decisions this week that could set a tone for risk appetite. Asian shares were mixed, with MSCI's gauge of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan holding steady, and Japan's Nikkei edging 0.4% lower, as well as futures pointed to a weaker European and US Open. The MSCI's World Equities Index was down a marginal 0.02%, with Pan-region Eurostock 50 futures also 0.25% lower, and the E-mini futures also down 0.21%. South Korea's Kospi Index gained 1.5%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.26% after eclipsing 36,000 points for the first time during intraday trading. The S&P 500 gained about 0.18% overnight, while the Nasdaq Composite added 0.63%. And now looking at some supply crunch, Apple Incorporation has cut back production of iPad tablets to allocate more components to the iPhone 13, a sign the global chip supply crunch has hit Apple harder than previously indicated. Well, that's according to reports from Nikkei, citing multiple sources. While production of the iPad was down half from Apple's original plans for the past 2 months, the newspaper said on its website, adding that parts intended for older iPhones are also being switched to iPhone 13. Even though iPhone 13 production hit a snag due to factory closures in Asia and high demand in the second half of this year, Apple has weathered the supply crunch better than many other companies due to its massive purchasing power and long-term supply agreements with chip vendors, eating into its rivals' market share in the third quarter of this year. In the aviation space, Japan Airline Company Limited today posted a first half loss before interest and tax of 151.8 billion yen, less than a year ago, as it cut costs during the pandemic and forecast it would also report an annual loss. The prior year, Japan's second largest airline had reported a loss before interest and tax of 223.9 billion yen in the first 6 months, and also the last 6 months ended September the 30th. Well, Japan Airlines Company Limited forecast it would also report a full-year loss before interest and tax of 198 billion yen, having previously said that the outlook was too uncertain to provide some guidance. And wrapping up business news now on the show today, oil prices on the international market remain steady as key producer group OPEC undershot its expected pace of output increases last month, while the world top oil consumer China ramped up operating rates to meet a spike in diesel demand. US West Texas Intermediate crude recorded an increase in price of 0.02% to hit $84.07 per barrel. Brent crude now sells for $84.93 per barrel, recording an uptick in price of 0.26%. Bonnie Light is also sustaining its greenish outlook today as well, with an increase in price of 0.99%, selling at $84.33 per barrel. And for the OPEC basket, crude oil dealers offer $82.41 per barrel. Well, that's it from the show today. Many thanks for watching so far. Please do stay tuned to TVC News for the rest of our programming. Bye for now.
The story of sport is often told in numbers. But we don't fall in love with 1:40-91. We don't idolize a 6th round knockout. We don't dream of growing up to be 3-1. Discover the human stories that give meaning to the numbers. Sport Africa from the BBC.
When shippers groan under the weight of ceaseless charges that tend to throw them off balance in the sector, Nigerian Shippers Council promptly comes to their rescue.
Shippers Council saddled with manual operations, the manual for operating at the port. We are the lead agency.
We stay ahead of the curve.
Hello and welcome. It's Tidbits.
Allah Inland Drive Port is born again. Finally, the eagle has landed.
Join us for a smooth sail on your favorite maritime program, The Shipper, brought to you by Nigerian Shippers Council, Nigeria's port economic regulator, every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. on TVC.
It's insightful, it's exciting, it's enriching. It's Marketing Edge on TV, a half-hour TV show on the business of brand management and the management of brand business. Marketing Edge on TV is a potpourri of juicy and exclusive industry news on brands, advertising, media, PR, brand and focus, industry conversation, and the entire gamut of integrated marketing communications business. It's a business show with glamour and grandeur. We serve you hot and sizzling with all ingredients in the mix. Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the brand ideal.
Hello there. Do you know that CIC's new look company's registration portal, CRP, has the following features? An end-to-end electronic registration solution for accredited customers and the general public to initiate and complete pre-registration and post-registration applications electronically. An online filing of annual return on the company's registration portal, CRP. Online filing of biannual statements for incorporated trustees. Online application for letter of good standing. Online registration for limited liability partnership and limited partnership. Also, electronic certificate with a quick response QR code for easy verification and embedded with automatic tax identification number. TIN. Electronic signature is now recognized on the CRP. Join us.
TVC News first with breaking news.
We cover the big political stories in Nigeria, but people want more than just politics.
Business news, sports naturally, but you need news to live by also.
Stories about education, health, personal finance, and hey, even lifestyle news.
Newspaper reviews, travel news, and much more.
Nigeria, it's more than just politics. It's life.
Start your day with us every weekday.
TVC News Breakfast. First, fast, balanced, and accurate.
TVC News first with breaking news.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News first with breaking news.
Hello and thanks for joining us. This is the What Now. We begin in Nigeria, where 9 persons have been rescued, 10 others confirmed dead, while rescue operations are still ongoing in the wreckage of a 21-story high-rise building which collapsed while under construction at the Ikoyi area of Lagos State. Scores others are still feared trapped in the building. The cause of the collapse and exactly how many people are trapped under the rubble remains unclear. Some reports say the building was several floors higher than originally intended. Meanwhile, relatives of victims have expressed anger, faulting the slow pace of search and rescue operation.
The 12th floor building, we walk on 10th floor. You get it? At the same time, I saw the thing collapse on me though. It's go down. I'm counting it. It's go down. But I lost my brothers. My problem is that I want to see all the dead body. I want to see all my brothers, their body.
The building, it get problem before.
We they see them, but they say they can't control the building. Say nothing they happen, they don't control the pillar with the building. But they bring one machine, go check all the pillars, say no problem.
Yesterday, now maybe the boss of the one go carry dead body, come out like this, and put them for motor. They don't even they beat me safe. I don't even mind.
What are you doing there?
Yesterday when they around after 2, you understand?
I was there. He said, away.
They did not allow those beggar people to walk.
They stopped work.
They stopped walking.
Since 2 a.m.
Until 7.
They started on 6 a.m. in the morning. And people are there. People are there shouting that they are alive.
Is it good though? Is it good though?
When it gets to 11, we slow down the whole operation. Like you heard, everything went dead. We need to get voices. We need to track where people are trapped. So we can't predict when it will finish. Because with all possibility, we might get survivors.
Meanwhile, in Arizona, firefighters from several cities worked together to rescue 2 workers who got stuck in a trench at a construction site in Scottsdale Monday morning. One of the workers fell into the trench around 8 a.m. near 91st Street and Happy Valley Road. Another worker jumped in to help him. They both needed rescuing. According to Scottsdale Battalion Chief MC Clark, the rescue operation was extensive. Clark said that both workers were awake and talking to rescuers throughout the process. The worker who jumped into the trench was not injured. The worker who fell in was experiencing head and shoulder pain. Investigators have now released information on how the worker, a 43-year-old man, fell into the trench. He was taken to the hospital. Let's turn attention now to the COP26 summit. The Queen has urged world leaders to rise above the politics of the moment and achieve true statesmanship at the COP26 summit. She ended with a poignant message that none of us will live forever, but we are doing this not for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children and those who will follow in their footsteps.
I remember well that in 1969, he told an academic gathering, if the world pollution situation is not critical at the moment, it is as certain as anything can be that the situation will become increasingly intolerable within a very short time. If we fail to cope with this challenge, all the other problems will pale into insignificance. It is a source of great pride to me that the leading role my husband played in encouraging people to protect our fragile planet lives on through the work of our eldest son, Charles, and his eldest son, William. I could not be more proud of them. Indeed, I have drawn great comfort and inspiration from the relentless enthusiasm of people of all ages, especially the young, in calling for everyone to play their part.
Meanwhile, Presidents have announced new actions to tackle climate change, tap economic opportunity, and tout a vision of collective global efforts. On day 1 in office, President Joe Biden rejoined the Paris Agreement, restored U.S. leadership on the world stage, and reestablished the U.S. position to tackle the climate crisis at home and abroad. On day 1 at the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change Conference of the Parties, President Biden will outline the bold steps his administration is taking in its whole-of-government approach to combat climate change, underscore how bold action delivers economic prosperity and peace and security, and rally countries from every corner of the world to step up their ambition and confront these existential threats during a decisive decade.
Several days, the United States will be announcing new initiatives to demonstrate our commitment to providing innovative solutions across multiple sectors, from agriculture to oil and gas to combating deforestation to tackling hard and to abate industries. We're planning for both short-term sprint to 2030 that will keep 1.5 degrees Celsius in reach, and for a marathon that will take us to the finish line and transform the largest economy in the world into a thriving, innovative, equitable, and just clean energy engine of net zero for a net zero world. That's why today I'm releasing the U.S. long-term strategy, which presents a vision of achieving the United States goal of net zero emissions economy-wide by no later than 2050.
Now, more than 100 world leaders have promised to end and reverse deforestation by 2030 in the COP26 Climate Summit's first major deal. Brazil, where stretches of the Amazon rainforest have been cut down, was among the signatories on Tuesday. The pledge includes almost £14 billion of public and private funds. Now, let's broaden this out by speaking with the Executive Director of Eco Champions, Temilade Salami, who is joining me from Glasgow via Zoom. Good to have you join us.
Hi, good afternoon. It's so good to be on this call.
Good afternoon. Let me start by getting your thoughts on this latest development where more than 100 world leaders have promised to end and reverse deforestation. What do you make of this?
First of all, I would like to say that this is quite ambitious, and more than ever before, we've not had this number of countries support the fact that they want to stop deforestation. So I think 100 world leaders, it's a remarkable landmark. But I must also say that we must move from promises and pledges into taking real-time actions. We've had a lot of these pledges and promises at the previous COP, but the question is what has been done and what is the milestone that has been achieved so far, and how transparent and accountable are these pledges, and how are they involving the young people in making sure that this comes to fruition?
And you made a very important point when you talked about involving young people, but I'll get to that shortly. But let's talk about your skepticism around the pledge for deforestation. In 2014, such similar pledges were also made to stop deforestation, but nothing changed. Why do you think that is?
First of all, I think I would like to bring this back to Nigeria because such pledge was also made by our president to say we were going to plant 25 million trees. That was in 2020, and in 2021, we saw a tweet that 15 million has been planted. We don't have, let me say, a GPS of where these trees have been planted. And I think that the problem really is that there is no accountability because people just make pledges, but what is the plan? What is the milestone that you're looking to achieve? If you say you want to plant 2 million trees, let's assume you want to plant 2 million trees by 2022. Tell us how many you're going to plant in December, how many you're going to plant in January, how many you're going to plant in June, so that everybody can keep track. But what we don't have a plan for, we cannot keep track on. So I think I'm happy about the pledges. We're used to the pledges, we're used to the numbers, we're used to the finance that are being made, the finance pledges that are being made at this place. But the question is, what is being done about it? Are there real actions in place?
Do you think that it was a wise decision? Because it looks like certain groups have been cut out of the current summit, especially the oil companies. Shell released a statement that it will not be sending a representative because it was said that they cannot come for the conference. Do you think it's a wise decision to leave out the airlines and the oil companies who are the bulk of the problem or contribute the largest to the problem of climate change? Was it wise to have left a company like Shell out of that summit?
I would say that these are the people who contribute largely to the greenhouse gas emission and then to climate disaster. And I think not allowing them to come to the summit can be a two-way thing. probably people are angry and they demand climate justice, which is justifiable. But I think we still need to ask them questions. We need them to be at the venue. We need them to be there so we can ask questions and get answers and not just vague promises. They're not there. They don't know what's going on. They're going to be getting filtered reports, and it's just going to be the same cycle of promises. And these guys who are the top polluters, they need to do something urgent. We can make all the pledges and all the promises, but these are the people who need to stop gas flaring. These are the people who need to stop climate injustice for the global south. So they need to be involved. We're not even looking forward to working hand in hand with them because the climate injustice is gross. We just need them to stop whatever they are currently doing that are killing people in the communities, that are dispossessing people of their land. We need them to be involved, but we need them to take action. So it might be two-way. People are angry, and young people especially are very angry. Indigenous people are angry, and it is justifiable because of climate injustice. But on the other end, we need these people to provide us answers and their plans to phase out coal, their plans to stop gas flaring in countries like Nigeria and the Niger Delta. So we need real answers, and we cannot get real answers if they are not present. We don't know what they want to do. We don't know their plans. They just keep, using the media to project whatever they want to do. But we need to know that this is a commitment you're making so we can hold you
absolutely
accountable.
And also have plans to monitor the implementation of those plans. Well, you talked about the anger from young people and just even in general climate activists and environmental activists. You are in Glasgow, Scotland. You must have seen the protest in front of the venue. Even just today, people are angry that it's all talk but no action. But let's talk about young people. You said young people should be brought on board. I did see a footage of a young girl, a climate activist from Uganda, Patience Nabukulu. She literally was crying about the situation in her country and in Africa because of climate change. There was also the brother and sister from Germany, 10-year-old Zozo and 12-year-old Kiwi, who were hanging off the Clyde Bridge with a message, with a banner that had the message, I think it was humanity is failing. Why? Yeah. And then Greta Thunberg did say something about not being allowed into the conference. Again, was it a wise decision to not allow young climate activists be part of this decision? Because it is really about their future.
That's right. I would say that we've been advocating and requesting for this to move from just tokenistic engagement into full-time participation and decision-making process. Every time every world leader talks in that room, they make mention of we need to protect the next generation. But you look into the room, you look to the far left, you look to the far right, and there are no young people in the room. I was honored to present our intervention at the UNGO, at the plenary session. UNGO is the youth arm of the UNFCCC. And I must tell you that before we were allowed to talk as young people, almost all the world leaders were out of the room. And it brings me back to the question, who is really listening to us? And are they just saying these things just because the media is there, the cameras are there, and they need to be in the good books? We need to be fully involved, and we need to be in the decision-making process. I know there has been so many conversations around the fact that, young people are very ambitious, they are not patient, they just want action now. But you can only say that because you've enjoyed all your time and now you're growing old and making profit from whatever business you're doing, and it is affecting the young people. I imagine what's going to happen in the next 10 years. I imagine what's going to happen in the next 20 years. Many species are going extinct. We're experiencing global warming, and this thing is affecting everybody health-wise, mentally, and is creating anxiety for most young people. And I must say that we the young people, we deserve a space at the table. We don't just want to be in your magazines, in your papers, in your media reports that you were able to meet young people. We want to be part of the decision-making process.
Absolutely, and the implementation process as well. Thank you so much, Temilade Salami, Executive Director, Eco Champions. Let's take a break now. When the word now returns, we'll have more stories. Stay with us.
Sometimes before I step on stage, my mind gets clouded. But that's when I know it's time to take that deep, tum-tum cooling breath.
Every 1 hour, 86 migrants enter Lagos State. It is a beehive of activities. Every second counts in this city that never goes to sleep. There is always something to talk about. We go the extra mile to tell the story of Africa's 5th largest economy. We track happenings on land, on waterways, and in the air. We go against all odds to ensure that you are heard.
25% of the entire spread of Lagos is covered with water.
I'm Adedoja Salamadeni. I live in Lagos.
Thanks for staying with us. And shortly before Irving assault suspect Brian Shu appeared in federal court, his mother, seen here in a light pink jacket, walked into the building in Santa Ana. Last Wednesday, officials say she was on board the American Airlines flight last week when her son allegedly punched a flight attendant in the face. Passengers booed the pair as they were led off the plane, which was to have landed at John Wayne Airport, but was diverted to Denver after the violent episode. In court, Shu got permission to travel to Denver for court proceedings and Rhode Island for what his lawyer called important doctor's appointments. The judge noted that she did not see that the FAA barred him from travel, although the CEO of American Airlines said in a statement that he would never fly his airline again. Brian Shu was released from custody Monday later in the afternoon. A suspect accused of stealing a van was caught by Lee County deputies after driving into the Kalushahate River. The Lee County Sheriff's Office said North District deputies tried to conduct a traffic stop on the stolen van on Bayshore Road. Deputies say Brian Grace sped off 41 aviation pilots. Aviation pilots arrived on scene and saw their driver from the air, capturing footage of the incident. The Sheriff's Office said the van swerved and crashed into a retaining barrier at the top of the Edison Bridge. Gray got out of the van and jumped over the safety barrier and drove into the Kalusachi River from the Edison Bridge. The Fort Myers Police Department's Marine Unit pulled Gray out of the water. LCSO confirmed he was detained by deputies before he was taken to a local hospital for treatment. He was arrested for grand theft, auto, and fleeing and eluding deputies.
Yeah, it's right underneath us. Okay. Yeah, coming around. Car 43.
And crew of the Ocean Viking tonight rescued 44 people who were in a wooden boat in the central Mediterranean. The rescue took place in the middle of the night after the IFRC's medical doctor, Dr. Jane Ellen Hedgie, heard whistling in the middle of the night. Among the survivors were 4 women and 5 minors. The SOS team is responsible for all rescue operations, while the IFRC team provides post-rescue support such as medical care, psychosocial assistance, protection, and basic needs to the people who have been brought on board the Ocean Viking. In accordance with strict COVID-19 protocols on board, survivors are asked to wear masks and the crew wear protective clothing during their work. Reporting the news can be a risky job if you are up against the powerful, and statistics tell you the same. On average, 1 journalist has been murdered every 4 days in the last decade. Many of these journalists were killed in countries with no armed conflict. More than 12,000 journalists have been assassinated between 2006 and 2020 for just doing their job. UNESCO Observatory for Killed Journalists says that the killers walk free in 9 out of 10 cases. These statistics paint a gloomy picture for freedom of the press. Now, to raise awareness and formulate ways to counter these incidents, the United Nations General Assembly declared today, November the 2nd, as International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists. The resolution passed in the General Assembly in 2013 not only condemns all such attacks on journalists, but also urged all member nations to protect journalists from threats to their lives and ensure that the victims get access to the required remedies. And joining me from New York via Skype is a journalist, Africa-related, Oyiza Daba. Good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
So when you look at these figures, it says more than 12,000 journalists have been assassinated between 2006 and 2020. What does that say to you? How do you interpret this?
Like you rightly said, the United Nations declared today the International Day to End Impunity against crimes, for crimes against journalists. The problem is the impunity part of it is what is on the rise. The crimes actually have been down. The figures you quoted between 2006 and 2020, if you look at it periodically, 5 years breakdown, the 2016 to 2020 figures were significantly lower than the first 5 years. But does that make the situation better? Because the impunity of it, while the figures are down by 20%, the impunity of it is is what is high, and that is by staggering 87%. And what is this impunity where governments and people that perpetrate crimes against journalists actually get away with it? And in the last 5 years, and in the last 5 years, we've seen that over and over again in some of these countries, and some of the countries that are that have the highest rate of these killings. Mind you, these are killings, not harassment. The continents are Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean, and also the Middle East. Africa is a little bit down in the numbers, about 37. It's not good enough, but there are about 37 out of these 400 killings that you have mentioned. And out of that 37, we have 6 from Nigeria, 6 killings from Nigeria, and these are figures between 2006 and between 2015 and 2020. In the last year, however, due to COVID-19, we saw the threat that the pandemic posed, especially to journalists. That was even further highlighted during the protests, which is what prompted the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, to say that journalists are being detained and being killed for doing their jobs, covering this protest and covering the COVID-19 pandemic, saw another side to this threat against the profession, whereby journalists reporting on numbers of COVID-19, which was still very novel and still very new at the time, were being harassed and detained. And as the figures state, only 9 out of 10 of these killings are brought to justice. And the Secretary General...
That's the shocking part of that statistics, where just out of 10, 9 of them, walk freely. Nothing happens. And I guess that's because of those who are perpetrating these heinous crimes are also in the corridors of power. That in itself becomes an extreme form of media censorship, isn't it?
Absolutely. And with this year, the Secretary General also called on member states to stand in solidarity with journalists and to demonstrate the political will to investigate and prosecute these crimes. So you see it in that statement, in the political will from the governments, because the UN is talking to itself. It's talking to its 190 plus member nations about this. These are countries that are members of the United Nations. So you see that this is very, very serious, and it's something that is ongoing. You find also that one of the areas that was reported in this inside paper is harassment against women journalists. And that is a new, it's not entirely new, but out of the 400 you mentioned, 37 of them were women. And that accounts to about 9%. But you may also ask, the figure might be low. It may be because, women are not assigned of these very serious cases or very like crime or politics, and they may not also have editorial privileges like the men do. And even in Nigeria, we saw even this year at the NSAS protests in the Remembrance, where the Arise correspondent was being harassed. So it hasn't stopped, it hasn't ended. Online, or it's even another way. And one of the TV and print journalists are most vulnerable to this type of killings and harassments. Maria Ressa, who is the Nobel Peace Prize laureate in 2021, the Philippines Rappler journalist, she had over 2.5 million social media posts harassing her. So it's ongoing. But again, what are the remedies here? They're calling on member nations to adopt some of the other holistic approaches, like hotlines, trainings, capacity building, advocacy and awareness, and also, most importantly, universal periodic review of these type of cases. UNESCO does this every 2 years, and they're asking for the world to continue in that light.
Absolutely, and I guess that we all, as journalists, we have to continue to speak up about this. Thank you so much. Or is a journalist Africa related, or is a Daba? Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
And that's the news this hour. We'll have more updates at 4. Thanks for watching.
When shippers groan under the weight of ceaseless charges that tend to throw them off balance in the sector, Nigerian Shippers Council promptly comes to their rescue.
Shippers Council saddled with manual operations, the manual for operating at the port. We are the lead agency.
We stay ahead of the curve.
Hello and welcome. It's Tidbits.
Allah Inland Drive Port is born again. Finally, the Eagle has landed.
Join us for a smooth sail on your favorite maritime program, The Shipper, brought to you by Nigerian Shippers Council, Nigeria's port economic regulator, every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. on
certificate. I want to have a certificate. I want to go it does the Anambra State. I took Anambra State, Magini. I vibe a go candidate in the Apuga. Sinanu Lolo. Manifesto na use manifesto on the Apuga. Joania, Onya Nakita. Manifesto of Fulefu. Father will manifesto and ye go well. Candidate in Napuga. Sunamuruzo do no baru. Amanebo barudi. Anya Luga from Ed Bridge to Samala. One from Atani to Zubru. Pajadu no baru. Nobody is Yoku. Amanebo barudi. Candidate was now industrial estate. I have looking industrial estate in Onitsha. EJ by Fear, Jonathan Beleba as president, commissioner, 5 companies, Also, very bido. Candidate in the BC, Sinaya go grass. Ngenda Gaza urban renewal. Anambra State, well, already a study of urban renewal done by UN Habitat that we have already started implementing in Oboko. I now implement here in Oboko. So now you're making it in Anambra State. And what was this Siaga? Who's on Nabunu? Ndakana who's on Nabunu? Omalabo Garden, Ndakasa who's on Nabunu? Ipanoka Kita Gaziaga. Eba in a Melimpochi. Oiva Gajo Gamagini, Capital Desibe. Anambra State, Airapolo, I need your pension, I need your gratuity, I need your salary. I want to contract that you go. That was 70-something billion. I just get an Ugo 120 billion. In rejoice, I Jega Wello, or what value in Ayabanine, Secretariat, Federal one, in Gaba on Yakita, even now, I want to get even where you do what. What you're making it? About Guru Yabinyaka. About Guru Yabinyaka. Mawake, Mawan. Go and follow values, but I don't say bye. Thank you and God bless you.
Your Excellencies, if you see the governors of PDP who came here today, they were carefully chosen and selected. Because Nigerians look around and see performance. The reason why they are here is that when you go to their state, you see what they are doing. Oluseyi Makinde, the governor of Oyo State, transformed a local stadium called Adamasimba. It became better than the best stadium in the whole world. You go to Oyo today, you see what he's doing. That is why he's here today as one of the governors of PDP to tell the people of Anambra State, you are not missing your road following PDP. His Excellency, Engineer Oluseyi Makinde, Governor of Oyo State.
Yeah, music now.
Yes, sir.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV station of the year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
In the month of November, 25 years ago, on the 7th of November, an ADC airline flight crashed at Ejinri, a suburb of Lagos, killing 114 passengers and crew. This again brings the aviation sector under focus. On the 10th of November 1995, Niger Delta environmental activist Ken Sarawiwa was executed by hanging. 26 years after, has the question that led to his death been answered? The 14th is dedicated to creating awareness on diabetes, which is responsible for over 1.5 million deaths globally per year. On the 16th, the world marks International Day for Tolerance. And on the 17th, International Students' Day will be marked. 19th is for the male gender on International Men's Day. And on the 25th, efforts to end gender-based violence take center stage as the world marks International Day for the elimination of violence against women. Stay with TVC News.
The TVC News at 7 and the TVC News at 10 are not like any other news broadcast.
It's the big news hour, the hour for the big breaking stories.
We've got some of the best reporters on the field,
taking you through as it happens.
It's fast-paced, hard-hitting,
with investigations that matter.
bringing in news that affects your life.
With sport, entertainment, and business news, so you don't miss a thing.
Experience resourceful coverage with depth.
Every night.
I plead with our women, it's not about money. I plead with our elders, it's not about grumbling. The primaries have come and gone. It's a time for us to unite. It's a time for us to commit ourselves with everything in us to win that election. It's time for us to believe in ourselves. It's a time for us to rebuild Anambra, and rebuilding Anambra means you must bring PDP back in governance of Anambra, and you would have done yourself a lot of good. But you cannot rebuild under this condition if you don't forgive yourselves. Whosoever has been hurt as a result of past elections, whosoever has been hurt as a result of the primaries, push that aside. It is time for us to come together, united. And when we are united and we love ourselves, we shall together claim the seat of governance of Anambra. And when you have claimed the seat of governance of Anambra, we can sit together and resolve our problems. So I beg you people, what God has delivered to you, please go out and ensure that you get it for the people. God said to Joshua, through Moses, he said, only be strong and courageous. That is what you need now. Strength coming from courage. That is what you need, not quarrels. And I'm confident in myself that praying with you, that you will definitely win that election. Because God has given it to you. Don't throw it away. Take this message back to everybody at home. What God has given to you, don't throw it away. God is with you in this election, and I know that you definitely get it. There's a song that says, Agamabu,
Chineke si na ngabu yo. Agamabu, Olakamada poribo chia. Agamabu, Chineke si na ngabu yo. Agamabu, Olakamada poribo chia.
The Lord has given you this election, and in the name of Jesus, it shall be well with you. And I know that on Saturday, with one mind, in one purpose, you will go out there. Don't be frightened. And tell those at home not to be frightened. The God that rules in the affairs of men has gone ahead of you. Just be courageous and take what belongs to you. God bless you all. PDP! Power to the people!
Thank you very much. The moment we have been waiting for is at hand. The chairman of the National Campaign Council, our own brother, the governor of the 8th state of Abia, my own in-law. We were there for the campaign council meeting at Umuobiakwa, and he gave us a message. See, Ndi Anambra, Denu Kwado, Asogame election Nabia, Soga election Nimo, Soga Neboni, Soga Benine, Amara Mani Agreement Anambra. Oh, one night Woko, the governor of Abia State, okay, say Bazo. Oh, we are giving Yoku. Come on, let's talk to you. Okay, madam.
Power to the people. Biko ozim nezinda Anambra taa deso abụọ nke mbụ anyị ndị Igbo ọ dị ka atọ dị anyị n'olu from Port Harcourt to Aba with container 30 minutes journey today will take you 15 days. From Lagos Wharf to Onitsha with your container 6 months. On 3 months na walk. On 3 hours na queue along Apapo Shodi Express. Obezie no the rest knows all. More than Nore or Dana Benin. More than a Benin or Dana Hebridge. It is by the grace of God that we are not consumed today. This is not a campaign, but it's a message to Anambra that the train has left station to the recovery of Nigeria in 2023. And when men will be counted, Anambra unugakweso. That is the question. How can a city and a state of wise people be in the backwaters of Nigeria politics? How can it be that Anambra Gahano, now the conversation about the rescue of Nigeria? See, there are two sets of people today in Nigeria. Ndesi na auto ahede demma. Na ndesi to fear kwa. Na here ade homma. Na ga apu bawe here. I was so na ndesi na ga agbanwe ya. Therefore, ndeni ndezi rozi to come and capture Nde Anambra. Unusi ha na anaghị eji nwa agụ achụ aja.
APC Bundoshi, APC Bundoshi, onye tie ha, Abuga Bundoshi, Abuga Bundoshi, onye tie ha.
Anambra cannot be captured. We're going to capture Anambra in Jesus' name. Therefore, on the 6th, Anambra nile, irrespective of what you believe in, must come out chọwebe seremblari soro tren ahụ ga-agbanwe ọnọdụ anyị na Nigeria. O nwekwara oke ihe anyị na-achọ si dozie iro mee ka pọt rụwa ọrụ nyekwa anyị pọt na Niger Bridge here ka anyị tụọ ngwa ahịa anyị ere ya rete ego. That's all we need. Anyị anaghị arịọ mmadụ ego because we can fend for ourselves. Ọnụ anyị na-akara aka onwe na-ehicha ya. Therefore, on the 6th, as I said, unu ga-apụta n'igwe tụọra PDP. I've also looked at the candidates in Azọ here na Anambra. Our candidate, Valentine Ozigbo, understands that he does not know everything. No man knows everything. Onye pụta si na ema ihe niile, onye wayo ka ọ bụ. We have a humble candidate that will listen and create a platform. Kanda Anambra niile, mande nwoke, mande nwanyị, mande youth, mande elders, tikata aka develop Anambra. Onye sị na yawa so yama, ihe niile na-eme Anambra onye asị ka ọ bụ. You must go now and look for a humble personality. Somebody nwere obi dị umeala. N'ihi na Bible say, na ihe a ezonarịrị n'anya ndị ma ihe na-ekpuperela ya onye asị na ọ dị nwayọ na-atụ egwu Chineke. Onye ahụ bụ onye Valentine Ozigbo.
Valentine bụkwa nwa ọmụma ndụ na aka Chineke dị n'arụ ya o. Ebere na-emere m ndị na-eche ọdịda ile.
So on the 6th, you people must vote for humility. Unu ga-vote onye ga-azụ unu phone. Because ọ hụkwaghị inye enwe kọpụ ka ọ ṅụọ mmiri bụ mgbe onye natakwa kọpụ ga. Onye unu ga-akpọ phone echi ya azụ unu ọ Valentine Ozigbo. Onye na-agaghị echefu ahụ niile unu tara na Anambra ọ Valentine Ozigbo. Ana m arịọ mmadụ niile na-akwụ unu nkwasị na the 13 governors of PDP nọ n'ukwu Val Ozigbo. Ndị na-anọghị ebe a taa nọ na Abuja na-eme ekeshọn na ndị azụ na ha ga-eme state of emergency. Fao. Unu ya vote unu on Saturday. I assure you that we will be able to protect it. Onwe onye ga-anapụ unu ihe ruru unu. Ana m arịọ ka ọ dịrị nwoke mma dịrị nwaanyị mma. Ohere adịghị aka m emu introduce one of the youngest local government chairmen elected in Abia. Emegom local government election 2 times since I became governor. Chima Abeze is a man in his 30s. Honor here as elected chairman. Okay, this is Chima Abeze. He is the executive chairman of Isukwato local government area. Therefore, all the Kwoku Democrats and Youth Empowerment. See the election. Kumo Korobia. None of various local government chief of staff. Over SS Jinkia. Over a PA. Over Korobia Bundone Pandao.
Onye si na Valentine agaghị achị Anambra steeti. Nsogbu. Okezi ikpeazụ. Dupụtara dị ya. Atụcha vote.
So on the 6th, ndị Anambra, unu tụọ vote unu. May ya defend. And I want to say this, and I'll leave you with it. I have sufficient grace in Abia State that since I became governor, we've not had even one politically motivated murder. Onweghị ọbara wa Anambra ga-akwafu on the 6th in Jesus' name. Onweghị ọbara nwa Igbo a ga-akwafu on the 6th in Jesus' name. Ndị bụ n'obi na o nwere ọbara ha ga-akwafu, ha kwara ibu ha pụọ na Anambra. We are not going to spill our blood here in Jesus' name.
Okay, say what I'm
We thank the chairman of the National Campaign Council who has given the mantra. We will now invite him back because he is here today in dual capacity. He is representing the acting national chairman of our party
who will give flag to our governorship candidate. But before then, because of Valentine, a lot of people have left their party where they were to come into PDP. Even the youth leader of APGA, the state youth leader, he has joined us here today. The House member of Assembly from Esamune, my own brother from Nobi, and the state youth leader, they are here today, they've joined us. The state youth leader of YPP, the former deputy speaker of Anambra State, Michael Ukwa, who was there, all of them have joined us here today. All the APC Aguata Esco Bataline Tata, Unuga Puta Kaiba Mafunanya, Manifa Jose Kaime, Makana Agabu Mura. Because Babia Mobile, the state chairman will now give the flag to our leader, Okezie Ibazu, who will give it to one of them, representing all the others, the House of Assembly member, representing all those who have now come into PDP. Your Excellency, sir.
Let no PDP. Let no PDP. Let no
PDP. Please, I want my brother governors, Governor Sheyi Makinde and Governor Ato Kowa, to please join me here. Deputy Governor Edo, I asked these my very powerful colleagues to join me so that they can bear witness that Anambra has collapsed for PDP now. And I want you people to take the message to the National Secretariat. PDP is the only national party in Nigeria. And it is evident in the quality that we hold. We have enough room under the umbrella to accommodate the aspirations of these our brothers. We salute you, we thank you for the courage, and we want to give our family in Anambra charge that our tradition is one love. Once they have crossed over, you will accord them all respects and privileges accruing to full members of the People's Democratic Party. My brothers and sisters, today, I am your governor. He is your governor. Sheyi is your governor. He is your deputy governor. All of us, we answer you whenever you call on us. Remain faithful and support our candidates to achieve victory on Saturday and leave the rest for us. On behalf of the national chairman-elect and the leadership of our party across Nigeria, on behalf of the Governors Forum, I wish to officially, joined by my brothers here, to welcome you to Honorable. You are now a member of People's Democratic Party. PDP!
You are welcome in the name of the Lord. You are welcome in the name of the Lord. We can see you, the glory of the Lord. You are welcome in the name of the Lord.
Thank you. You can now leave the podium. Thank you very much. You can now leave the podium while His Excellency continue to present the flag of our party, the victory flag of PDP. The victory flag, Mr. State Chairman, sir, we now invite you to give the flag to His Excellency, the National Chairman of the Campaign Council, so that he will give our candidate the flag of victory with which to go into the battle on the 6th of November. Your Excellencies are here. Your Excellency, sir.
On behalf of the national leadership of our great party and all tiers of the party, it is my honor and privilege to once again hand over this flag of victory to you, the next governor of Anambra State. On behalf of our brother governors and the rest of the party, I urge you to remain vigilant. And when you assume office as governor, please remember all these people here and those that will come to join our party as a result of their influence. Thank you. Congratulations. May the fate that befell Edo State on the day of their election be our portion on the 6th in Jesus' name.
Your Excellencies, we thank you for this very great job. His Excellency Val Ozibo with the running mate, Demazuke and more. And before Val speaks, we invite Dame Azuke and more to greet the people of Anambra before His Excellency the Governor makes his acceptance speech.
PDP, power to the family. Kedu ndị bụ odogwu na ni Nigeria ọkwọ ndị Igbo. Odogwu a na-agba ọsọ na bie mbọsị Saturday. Mbọsị Saturday. Gosinu n'unu bụ odogwu. Pụtanụ tinye n'aka n'ebe. Ebe sel umbrella, ka Anambra chawapụ. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, the time we've been waiting for is here. On the 26th of June, 2021, a great event took place at the Dora Akunyele Women Development Center. The presiding officer of that day is here, Philip Shuaibu. The unbelievable happened, but like we say, Akachukudia, a young man that many people didn't even want to see there, that place, was elected the PDP candidate. All the battles has gone through in court. We went to Supreme Court last week Thursday, and the victory was sealed. And everybody in Anambra, Ekwerugo, even those of us who was recalcitrant and refused to agree what happened in Abuja, has also agreed. And that's why we are here. Your Excellency, sir, address your people and assure our friends across the Niger why PDP is Anambra and Anambra is PDP. Your Excellency, sir. PDP, power to the people, power to the men, power to the women, and power to the youths. Anambra Gwenu, Abiko, let me rest also on all established principles. But I most sincerely appreciate and honor those our leaders who have left their very busy schedule to be here to join us. I am deeply, deeply thankful to the chairman of our National Campaign Council, the governor of Abia State, and my dear in-law, Governor Okeze Bazo. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you also on behalf of the members of the Governors Forum. Thank you also
my neighbor, our neighbor, my leader, my mentor in politics, the governor of Delta State, who is also the vice chairman of the National Campaign Council, Governor Okowa Ifeanyi. God bless you.
Ifeanyi Chukwu, Ifeanyi Chineke, Onwegi na Chukwu.
Are you receiving audio? Hello.
Thank you, my leader. When people see me, they say that I liken them to one governor in Oyo State, and I'm proud to associate with Governor Seyi Makinde. Thank you. When I grow up, I want to be like you. Thank you.
Come on.
And let me also thank the miracle worker, the man who God used to deliver me in the primary, in the fairest and most open primary, the Deputy Governor of Edo State, my brother, Right Honorable Philip Shuaibu. Thank you and welcome. Let me also now go to the leaders of our party in Anambra. Let me start off with Big Boss, our leader. Yes, I've seen him. The governor of all governors, the best we've seen in Anambra State, His Excellency, Governor Peter Obi Okutendibo, and his lovely wife.
Okute, you deliver, Oluku na chugwa. Okute, you deliver, only believe no chabuwe. You deliver, Onyana for Willie. You will surely deliver.
Power to the people. Abiko, let me also quickly appreciate a woman of substance. Let me salute the chairman of our State Campaign Council, Nwai Kanwoke, distinguished Senator Uche Ekunife Iyom. Thank you. Thank you.
Uche Ekunife, we put you in front of this election. You are all that matters. You are all that matters. We make room for two. You and the Valentino. You are all that matters. You are all that matters. Valentine, His Excellency Ifeanyi. We will never leave you unless you bless me. We will never leave you unless you bless me.
Power to the people. Let me appreciate the members of our BOT, led by most distinguished Senator Dr. High Chief Ben D. Obi Ojalibo. God bless you, sir. You are the leader I love so much. Thank you. Let me appreciate also all the members of National Working Committee who are here. Let me salute my own state chairman, Ubuka Oka Obuluzo, Chief Ndubisi Nwabu, and all the members of State Working Committee that are here. Ubuka Oka, thank you so much. On that same note, let me appreciate all the former chairmen of PDP who are here. I've seen a lot of them here. Yes, Okbukaji, Pandola, Ejikogwebego, God bless you all. I am making these remarks on behalf of my lovely wife, my running mate, and the husband, so I'm not going to be appreciating you. You are joining me in the appreciation. Now let me go to the leaders of our party in the National Assembly in the Green Chambers, led by Honorable Chuchu Onyema, and also Obinna Chidoka. God bless you all. God bless you all. Thank you so much. And let me appreciate all the members of our Assembly, led by the Deputy Minority Leader. I've seen Sonto Deze, I've seen Odaopo, I've seen Ezewune, I've seen Ebele Jiafo, and I've seen Noble Igwe. God bless you all, and God bless you all. Let me now appreciate all the members of our party, especially at the ward level, at local government level. Please let me not spend more time on protocols. But I have to sincerely appreciate those who have seen the light, those who knew that where they were couldn't be a better option, and have decided in their numbers, in their mass, to be here. I want to sincerely appreciate all those who have left APGA. especially the leaders of the party in APGA, who are now members of PDP, the state youth leader of APGA, the state youth leader of YPP and the state youth leader of ADC, SDP, and a number of other parties. And let me now appreciate those who have left APC in their huge numbers. The entirety of Aguata APC has collapsed into PDP. I thank God that the chairman is here and all the members of the executive at the local government level and what levels, they're all here, they're all on ground. More importantly, the chairman of the Ward 1 of Oga, the chairman of Ward 2 of Oga APC, where Senator Andy Bai is from, has also decamped fully to join PDP. At this point, I can tell you APC has no home in Aguata and Old Aguata Union. So this is a sign of what is to come. My dear brothers and sisters, I don't take this for granted. I know why we're here. We're here because we're angry. We're here because Anambra people are groaning. We're here because Aladrozimma. We're here because, indeed, we deserve better. I am in this race for a number of reasons. I'm here for that poor man in Obaru who is looking to make a living. I'm looking for that unemployed who can have a better reality, a better future. I'm looking for that student who needs help to further his education and be the best that God has destined him for. I'm looking for the women who are downtrodden, the widows, those who are looking for help, who are earning for better leadership. I can tell you that Anambra indeed deserves better. I am here to commit to you that by God's grace, when I become the next governor of Anambra State in a few days' time, Anambra will see a new light, and Anambra got Chawapu. And you all are going to be celebrating because sustainable development has arrived. I want to take Anambra from where P2B left it, move up to another level where we can all be celebrating and be proud of. I can tell you for free, I am committed to delivering whatever is possible to make Anambra happy again, whether in the area of road infrastructure, whether it's about technology infrastructure, whether it's about sporting and entertainment, whether it's about education and health, whether it's about those other things in the sector that are very impactful, from agriculture to manufacturing, whether it's about dealing with the clusters of emphasis for us. We have spoken about what we're going to do to Onitsha to make it a true commercial hub. We have spoken about what we're going to do to Nnewi to make it a true industrial hub. We have spoken about Awka City to make it a true state capital. We're talking about Omambala axis, where agriculture can take to a new turn and reality, and we can become a net exporter in Anambra State. We're talking about what we can do in the Old Agota Union to make it a technology hub. Valentino Isbo and Azuka and Nemo are here to commit to you. Deliver us on November 6th, and we'll deliver Anambra to you, to your glory, and to God's glory. Together. It's going to be indeed power to the people, for the people, and by the people. It is going to be you, because we're going to be here to serve you. We're not here to lord ourselves over you. We're here to humble ourselves. Know that, like Governor Ikwaza said, that we don't know it all. And together we are stronger, we are better, and we are bigger. And this is what we're going to be doing. I want to show you one more time. Please, put in everything you have. Come out on time. By 6 a.m., be at the polling units. Be there. Do your verification. And then cast your vote and wait. Be rest assured, this vote will count. Your votes are going to count. Nobody's able to rig this election. I can promise you that. With the introduction of beavers and with the introduction of electronic transmission, it is going to be important what happens at the polling units. So be out there. Make sure you mobilize and do not be scared. For those who think the mayhem will happen on November 6th, nothing is going to happen. Because everybody is only allowed to come out in their polling units. And therefore, Omunnem, come out in mass and vote for PDP. Vote for the umbrella party. Thank you so much. And there are a number of other major dignitaries I haven't recognized. The DG of my campaign, the former candidate of the party, Obaso Soloka Oho, I salute you. I've also seen all the other people I ran this election with. I've seen my darling sister, Chidi Onyemelukwe Lady. Please, God bless you. I couldn't see far. That's why, all of you there, please. All of you there, please, my respect. God bless you all. This is our election to win. Let's march to victory. I am going to be calling for a celebration party on November 7th at this podium. So get ready for a celebration. Power to the people! Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Your Excellencies, you can say, please, can we wait just 1 minute for the vote of thanks? What? Can I now invite the Secretary of the campaign, Enyoha, to please step forward and give the vote of thanks.
PDP! PDP! Power to the people! My task is very simple. On behalf of the national leadership of our campaign council, led by Governor Okeze Bazu, on behalf of the state campaign council, led by Senator Uche Egudife, on behalf of the state chairman of the party and everybody, our DG and all members of the campaign council, from the wards to the local government area, we want to say thank you, and thank you, and God bless you all. Bye-bye.
National anthem, please.
This election is for PDP, and you can see the enthusiasm from the people. This is not money enthusiasm. This is real. And I can tell you that PDP come on Saturday, we win this election. All the coordination, we had meeting with them. And what we are hearing there, PDP is the only party they want to hear in Anambra. APC has failed. Abga disappointed them. So the only hope they have now is PDP. And some of them told me that APC have derailed, that APC party have an NPC that cannot construct refinery. And they now want to use an NPC to construct road, that they cannot be deceived again. So I can tell you for free, come Saturday, PDP will win this election in Anambra.
Everybody wants to know. One day you go fire, one day you go fire. Everybody you come to fire, you want to go.
TVC Sport Desk.
There is a new manager in London, and this time it is Antonio Conte, former manager of Chelsea Football Club, and is coming back to London. 18-month deal, and the question is, can it turn around the fortunes of Tottenham in just less than 2 years? That's the million-dollar question for a man who would earn as much as £13 million in a year. Football is big business, and when you get it right as a manager, you are hailed. But when you don't get it right, like Nuno, you are given the boot. And as we speak in London, like the fans said from the Emirates Stadium, there is only one Nuno in London. That is Nuno Tavares, not Nuno of Tottenham, who has been sacked by the club. The program is Christian Sports Desk. Me and Akiri is my name. Back home in Nigeria, everyone is looking forward to the double-header against the Lone Stars of Liberia and also Cape Verde. Interestingly, the list of players invited for the double-header was unveiled by the Nigerian Football Federation yesterday after Kenneth Raw confirmed that Odion Jude will be making a return to the national team 2 years after a called quit at the international level. We shall also be taking a look at the glamorous club competition, the UEFA Champions League, and that's where you talk about the millions of pounds. And we will be taking a look at those who will be in action later tonight. I'm not alone in the studio. Omodia joins me, regular strike partner, and together we will thrill, inform, and entertain you. Omodia, it's nice to have you on the show.
Good evening, Mian. It's good to be back again.
Well, let's indeed start with one man who's making a return to the Super Eagles, Odion Jude. Yeah. He's back, and we're looking forward to the double-header, the World Cup double-header. To a large extent, questions have been asked. Why do you need to bring back Odion Jude to the national team?
Well, I for one have really tried to put some thinking into it. I've tried to rationalize the reason. It's not far-fetched, Mian. I remember when he called his time at the national team, he was still in China, And I remember saying it's a bit difficult, you know, the hours of traveling from China, you know, to Nigeria to play African qualifiers. That he was 30 then. I remember that interview that it's really a bit tough for him, so he would want to call his time out from the national team. And remember at that time he just won the highest goal scorer at the African Cup of Nations. He was the highest goal scorer at the qualifying, so he felt the ovation, the stage was better for him to quit. He had everybody, you know, singing his praise. So coming back now, I don't think it's a bad idea if he wants to come back. Igalo is still fit, he's still doing well.
What happens
but the thing is now, the other younger players is the development for me, especially
the exposure, the development,
the Osimes, the Awonis. But according to Gernot Rohr, he said Igalo is a special kind of player that he will serve as, he will give the other players a lot of motivation and.
Osimen was more like an understudy at the last AFCON tournament. So also Henry Onyekuru at the last AFCON tournament, because there was an Odion Igalo, well deserved. It was the highest goal scorer of the competition, despite the fact that the Eagles did not win the AFCON tournament.
Yeah. But me and I think we have to think outside the box now. You see, Osimen, he just got injured now. I think we can confirm that injury now. What if this happens during the Nations Cup? Can we really bank? Hold on. What if it does happen? Can we really bank on the Onyekuru to give us the goal? A Taiwo Awoniyi who is just one capped with the national team,
but is doing very well in Europe.
Me and you and I know that international football is different from club football. Paul Onuachu scored how many number of goals last season? 35 to 40 goals. And how many goals did he turn out for the Super Eagles of Nigeria? How many? Are we going to...
His goal ratio for the Super Eagles, despite coming on as a substitute, he's been scoring.
If we can trust Onuachu to give us the goals, if Osimen is that, I think that's the fear for Gernot Rohr. If my most trusted attacker, Osimen, is down to injury, who do I trust? Because he knows what he's up against now. It's either the Nations Cup or nothing for Nigerians. Because
is this the first time? Under Stephen Okechukwu Keshi of blessed memory, Keshi gave Nigeria the likes of Juwon Oshaniwa. He gave but this were players from the old scene.
Can we not? Where's Juwon Oshaniwa now? Can you tell me?
But he won the Nations Cup. But he won the Nations Cup trophy with them.
No disrespect to Juwon.
He won the Nations Cup. The last of Sunday, they were homegrown talents.
Are you now saying that we should pick a striker from the Nigerian Professional Football League?
In 5 years, if Rohr has not come out to say, oh, I saw a player in Nigeria and this player should be playing in the Super Eagles regularly, then to a large extent...
At every point in time, he has given at least one or two home-based players the chance. Anayo Iwala is just another case from Enyimba. After many 3-4 caps, he's already in Tunisia. Would you play
irregular in the Super Eagles?
No, at least he gave him. Are you just going to walk into the Super Eagles? No. Me and you are not going to walk into the Super Eagles.
On Thursday, we won't be on this show, and we will try as much as possible to get across to one man who coached the Super Eagles in the 80s and also came back, at some point in time in 2002.
You can't compare what the league was like then and now. You cannot football has evolved.
Amaju Pinnick, when he was coming into office, said he's giving Nigeria scientific football.
That's just a talk.
Well,
we need to also walk.
The question is, Odion Igalo is back.
He's back.
What do you expect? And then let's see if Odion will indeed give something better than what we've seen years past. But then the likes of Taiwo Awoniyi and also Victor Osimhen are also looking forward, to getting the number 9 or the starting bet as far as the Super Eagles jersey is concerned. Well, at this stage, let's now indeed take a look at other happenings back home in the country. We have a pre-season tournament ongoing in the country. It is indeed the Ota Solo football tournament, the pre-season tournament where you have no fewer than 4 NPFL sides participating in the championship. Lobby Stars Football Club of Makurdi are also one of them. As we're speaking, we have MFM Football Club playing against Remo Stars, and it is goalless as we speak. And the opening game of the match of the tournament was between Otasolo Football Club and 36 Lions. It ended in a goalless draw. Sunshine Stars indeed narrowly defeated Smart City Football Club by a lone goal. And you have Lobby Stars Football Club of Makurdi defeating Yobo FC by a lone goal. But then a lot of people have been talking. The executive secretary of the Club Owners Association in Nigeria has been talking about how important preseason games like this are to teams who will be campaigning in the Nigeria Professional Football League and also on the continent. Let's listen to our Lloyd Chukwemeka.
We are here to give confirmation to the organizers of Otasolo as a private investor who has contributed so much in developing football in the country. And as the executive secretary of the club owners, we are here to give support. That is why you can see that we have about 4 clubs participating in this preseason. If you look at the other preseasons that have been played before now, this is the highest in terms of clubs in the MPFL.
We love what we're expecting tomorrow, and we know it's going to be a very good game. It's a friendly game, it's a preseason, but no football, no game is a joke, you know. And this is a tournament or preseason for the big boys. And that's what we do. We like rubbing shoulders with the big boys so we can give them a run for their billions. So it's going to be a good one.
It's the 35th minute as we speak, and you have Remo Stars and MFM Football Club playing a goalless draw at the legacy pitch of the National Stadium, Surulere, Lagos. And if you've just tuned in, you're watching the program Sports Desk. Interestingly, if you want to continue with the Georgia session and you're watching on TVC Entertainment and you want to continue with us, why not? You can go to other platforms where you can enjoy the show. You have on social media, YouTube Live. You can indeed enjoy it anywhere you are in the world. You can also go to DSTV, Start Times, Go TV, Channel 418 on DSTV, and indeed enjoy the show as far as the program is concerned. But let's go back to the Otasolo Football Club. Otasolo is a private club owner, to say, in Nigeria. They just got promoted to the NNL. And as we speak, you have no fewer than 4 Nigerian Premier League sides, preparing in the Otasolo preseason tournament. First game against 36 Lions, goalless draw. Sunshine Stars beat Smart City FC of Lagos. Smart City played in the finals of the FA Cup in Lagos State. And Lobby Stars, a team in the NPFL, against a team owned by Joseph Yobo. During his 8 days, they call him the man in the middle. Call him Ogoni Blanket, he will give you a smile or a handshake. But then Joseph Ikpo Yobo, in England those days, they call him the man in the middle. At some point in time, he captained Everton Football Club.
Yeah, he did. And this just gives a lot of credibility to the this preseason tournament, first of its kind for Otasolo. I think we had them on the show talk about it before the preseason started, and for our MPFS sides to be listed means that it's well organized and it's a good preparation for the Nigerian Professional Football League that is rumored, I don't know now, that is alleged to start on the 21st of November. But like you said, we'll just wait to see how the tournament goes, and we'll see the winner.
Well, we'll leave the shores of Nigeria as we'll speak and go to England, talk about the Premier League. And then there's something, deserving, from the Premier League. Last night at the Molineux, we saw Wolverhampton Wanderers against Everton Football Club. Alex Iwobi is back in the Super Eagles. No more injury worries at this stage. He got the consolation goal for the Toffees, and they indeed succumbed to a team from the Molineux. Let's bring you highlights of that game when we come back. Omode will be reacting to the appointment of Antonio Conte at Tottenham Hotspur.
John Moutinho with the corner. And there's the shot, brilliantly saved by Pickford. It was Ruben Neves who belted it towards goal. And Pickford called into action, and he did his bit all right. Now Trincao with the effort, Pickford again, superbly done. Well, it was a great effort as well. And it's headed in. Wolverhampton Wanderers are in front, and Max Kilman has got his first ever goal for the club. Ben Godfrey steals it back towards his goalkeeper, it won't reach him, and Jimenez is in, and Wolves have doubled their lead, and it's a gift, and Raul Jimenez has accepted that gift. As far as Coleman, now Gray, Godfrey, he goes for goal, and breaks for Iwobi, he's done it again against Wolves. Alex Iwobi on the score sheet here last season. Well, I was telling you not too long ago, he only has 2 Premier League goals before today for Everton. They both came against Wolves. Well, he's done it again. Corner then to be taken by Andros Townsend. In for Gordon. Oh, what a save from Sarr. Gordon's header, superbly saved. He almost had his first for the club.
TVC Sport Desk.
Action from the Premier League there. A Nigerian getting the consolation goal, Alex Iwobi, and one way or the other, yes, is back to fitness, and he should be able to showcase what he's made of when the Eagles play their doubleheader.
Yeah, I think Gareth Ross should be licking his lips now. I think he's happy to have his lieutenant back. Chukwueze is also back. Taiwo Woni is not listed, but it will be. You know, they missed that creativity the last time out, and he's been doing well for Everton. You know, still scored yesterday. So. Good one. At least we're getting our boys back. So I think it's good for the national team. Let's see what we can achieve these next 2 games to see if we hopefully we'll make it to the final qualifying playoffs.
Leaving the home ground of Wolverhampton Wanderers, that is the Molineux, let's indeed go to London. Talk about the appointment of Antonio Conte, the new manager of Tottenham Hotspur. What's your take?
Well, remember he was first started to be taken over from Jose Mourinho, but I guess the contrast didn't go well. He wanted to be, he wanted to be the man in charge of recruitments, to know the kind of players that he wants. Of course, we know that Antonio Conte is very charismatic. You can see his movements on the dugout. He's very, very agile, wants to win all the time. And he has proven that at Chelsea. Came in the first season for a man to get into the Premier League for the first time. And, having coaches like, having managers like Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp winning the league, but it doesn't always go well, second season, third season. Maybe that's why Daniel Levy gave him at least 18 months. If you ask me if he's going to turn the club around, I'll say yes. He definitely can turn the club around. He has what it takes. He said they should give him the money that he wants to get his own kind of player.
Kane must not be sold. That's one of the conditions.
Yes, Kane must not be sold because...
And you expect Daniel Levy to indeed keep to that.
Of course, Daniel Levy can do that. He doesn't even want to sell his best players. I think that was what... that was the undoing for... Nuno Espirito Santos, because Kane was just, I don't know, coming out from that, his failed move to Manchester City. Kane was the missing link. He wasn't scoring, wasn't supporting. This is Kane that can play from the 10, support. But Antonio Conte, the right fit for Tottenham, a club that wants to win trophies, but they have not had the chance to. He can do that for them. But Daniel Levy is a man that, you know, is a very tough person when it comes to administration. I don't know if this marriage will last. That's my only concern with Conte, because Conte, he can just get pissed all of a sudden. You know, you remember what happened at Inter Milan, why he left?
Why he left Inter.
You know,
and let's take a look at what to expect, you know, from Antonio Conte. It can be very, very dramatic, but then expect this in the Premier League.
I think that my past speaks very clear as a player and as a manager, because I repeat, and you can tell what you want, but I'm a serial winner.
Well, there's plenty going on down in the technical area, I can tell you that. Plenty.
Дальний, точный удар и Конте бросает.
TVC Sport Desk.
The UEFA Champions League returns tonight with the likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer indeed expected to dish out instructions from the touchline as Manchester United travel to Italy to confront Atalanta Football Club. And for Ronaldo, it is back to the land of the Azzurri. And Omodia, you expect a lot of cracker tonight from Spain, where you have the likes of Real Madrid in action, you know, to Sweden, where Chelsea and co would also be in action against Malmo Football Club.
Yeah, let's start from Chelsea. I think that should be a banana peel for them. It should be a walk in the park. No disregard to Malmo. They are the whipping boys in the group. Of course, nobody expected them to make it past this stage. The only loss for Chelsea is against Juventus away, so they should know how to, consolidate. Juventus will not want to lose to Zenit, so Chelsea should be winning that. Then I think the pick of the pack will be the Atlanta-Manchester United game, considering what happened to United a couple of days ago. They came back from the dead, won against Tottenham, that informed the sacking of
the
sacking of Nuno Espirito Santos. And Atlanta, of course, they are a side that scored a lot of goals. So Manchester United should be wary, from after the Liverpool game. We understand that it was given a 3-match ultimatum.
We'll come back, to take a look at these games, what to expect. But then let's preview the games tonight from the Bavarians, where you have Bayern at the Allianz Arena, to Ukraine, where you have Dynamo Kiev, the Yellow Submarines, Villarreal, at the Volkswagen Arena, where you have Wolfsburg, Seville in the city of Seville in Spain. Talk about Sweden, Malmo FF, and indeed the Old Lady of Turin. Let's indeed give to you what to expect as far as tonight's encounter are concerned.
Manchester United will be aiming to make it 3 straight victories in the Champions League when they head to the Gawi Stadium on Tuesday evening to take on Italian outfit Atalanta BC. The Red Devils are currently top of Group F, collecting 6 points from their first 3 matches, while Atalanta are third in this section, just 2 points behind their opponents in Bergamo. Atalanta took a 2-goal lead at Old Trafford in the reverse fixture on October 20 with Mario Palasic and Mary Demirai on the score sheet. But Man United hit back in spectacular fashion, scoring through Marcus Rashford, Harry Maguire and Cristiano Ronaldo to secure all 3 points on home soil.
When you're at a place like this, as I've said, we've got so many players and we don't have time for anyone to sulk or not give energy to the team. If you're not in the starting 11, you are there to support your teammates and you come on and you do your best when you come on. If you don't even come on, what's the single most important thing you can do to help the team? And the attitude was spot on. So, yeah, I understand players they want to play. No one's happy when they don't play, but the squad morale has been really good, and it has to be. It cannot be, okay, we've done 1 game now and then everyone's thinking about themselves. It's a team before any individual.
Atalanta has won 2 games, lost 2 and drawn 2, while Manchester United has won 3 games, lost 2 and drawn 1. In the other games, Malmo will host Chelsea, Young Boys will travel to take on Villarreal, Bayern Munich are at home to Benfica, Wolfsburg will do battle with RB Salzburg, and Juventus will play Zenit.
Well, a lot expected tonight as far as the glamorous Champions League is concerned. And Mamodia, let's indeed go back into the fixtures. We were indeed talking about how difficult and it will be for a team like Malmo.
Yeah.
You expect a stroll in the park for Chelsea Football Club.
Yeah.
Malmo should get the beating. Let's take a look at other fixtures tonight and then take a look at how this could end. Any form of upset, Bayern will be at home, and will this be an easy ride for the Bavarians against Benfica?
Yeah, Bayern should be beating Benfica. They are top in the group now. They have not dropped a game. Of course, it's expected that they play this way. They are top side, and Lewandowski, once he's not injured, is scoring for the Bavarians. And for Barcelona, they must win to stand a chance of getting out of this group. It should be a must win with goals, because they just got their first win by 1-0 margin after losing to Bayern and Benfica 3-0. So they have a -5 goals difference. So it's really tough for them. If they get a draw from this game tonight, it means Barcelona might not be heading into the next round. You know, for Atalanta, they're at home. It's a tough call for Manchester United. If they win tonight, then it should be a good, applause. Yes, it should be a good applause for Manchester United, because this Atalanta side, they score a lot of goals. We know them from last season. They score a lot of goals. I don't
expect them to score while playing at home.
To score, so Man United have got their work cut out today.
Ronaldo is back in Italy.
Ronaldo is back in Italy. They should, put their hands together to get into the next phase of the Champions League. And for Chelsea, I've talked about Chelsea. It should be a win for Chelsea. Juventus also should be getting a win, because like we predicted here when these draws were made, we predicted that Chelsea and Juventus should get out of that Group H now, if I'm not mistaken. Should get out of that group.
That's Juventus against Zenit.
Yeah.
Sevilla against Lille of France.
Sevilla should be getting. They are more experienced in Europe than Lille. Sevilla should be getting that win.
Villarreal against the Young Boys.
Of course, remember that was the reverse fixture, was where Chukwueze scored his debut goal in the Champions League. So now they're back in Spain, where they're in their home side. So they should be getting a win. They should be getting a win, Villarreal.
Well, you have Wolfsburg, Salzburg, the Battle of Borgs. And
Salzburg,
don't underrate that.
Surprisingly, they are topping that group.
That's it.
They're topping that group. So it's not clear-cut for a win for Wolfsburg at the Volkswagen Arena tonight, because Salzburg have proven that they can really cause an upset, and they're doing that very well. They're topping the group where you have...
Salzburg has churned out talent.
Yeah, we have
football from the Premier League, Dakar.
Dakar, see what it's doing for Leicester now.
Leicester. It was also wanted by Arsenal, but then felt Leicester should be. But we understand that for Barca, very shaky. They are thinking of a new manager at this point in time, and in the next 48 hours or thereabouts, they should indeed comment at the Camp Nou. Games to watch out for tonight in the UEFA Champions League, and it should, be spectacular. Don't miss them, but then you can always trust us on Sports Desk to indeed bring you the highlights tomorrow on the show. Well, let's come back home to Nigeria and take a look at all the sports. We'll start with the ping pong game, or you call it table tennis, the second edition of the ITTF Western Region Championship that is on the continent of Africa, has served off at the Teslim Balogun Stadium, Surulere, here in Lagos. And 6 countries in the region are taking part in the championship. TVC Sports correspondent Solomon Ajizioku has more details.
Host Nigeria will slug it out with 5 other countries in the team and singles event of the second World Table Tennis WTT West African Region Championship at the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Lagos.
And we put the plans in place many months ago before we had the first tournament we held. Lagos is open for business and for the business of sports. And we are ready to be a platform where people can express themselves, athletes can perform, improve.
Moving into the international charts, they want to be like Haruna Kodri, they want to be like Omar, they want to be like Segun Toriola. So when you see them putting in every effort, to break the ranks. And for us in Nigeria, we're looking at having young players now moving up into the national team. That's the focus. So you will expect to see a lot of fireworks. That has started, and I'm sure you would have seen some.
Nigeria confront Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin Republic, Togo, and Liberia in the 4-day championship.
Haruna Quadri, Gideon Motayo would just be a step too far for this. So we're happy. It helps us with our development, and we've seen a good start. 6 Nigerian players, male and female. Hopefully, I think we'll be able to keep the trophy at home this time.
Teenage sensation Samuel Boboye and Aziz Sholanke lead the Nigerian men's team, while defending West African and national champion Fatima Bello lead the women's charge.
I will try my possible best to defend the title. I will put in my best. Now I'm at home, and people at home will support me, I believe. So I think I should be more confident to play.
Emmanuel Augustine, Sholanke, this is the national junior team effectively playing against the best in the Western region. That's how good Nigeria is at this level.
For the foreign legion of visitors, France-based West African men's champion Oba Kizito of Cote d'Ivoire is the top star.
As per defending the title, I would like you to know that I have prepared myself mentally, physically, and otherwise. So as I'm here, it is to defend that title by all means.
Kizito is part of the future of Africa table tennis. Fantastic young player, very reminiscent of our own Atonda Musa, can play every shot in the game. And he did well to win the tournament. I think he won against the Nigerian in Emmanuel Augustine.
So we have the team event, male and female. We have the singles, male and female. We have the doubles, male and female. And then we have the mixed doubles. So 7 medals are being contested for.
The last edition of this championship was held in Cote d'Ivoire, and produced homeboy Obaoba Kizito as the men's champion, while Fatima Bello emerged as the women's singles champion. In 2020, the event could not hold due to the coronavirus pandemic. This year, organizers and players look forward to a rewarding tournament here in Lagos. There are 7 medals to be won by all the players and all the countries who are taking part. Solomon Ajiziogu, TVC News, Lagos.
While still in Nigeria, let's talk mixed martial arts, where indeed the sport is getting interesting. The Africans, you know, are indeed doing very well in the octagon. When you talk about Nigerians, you know, at the highest stage, Nigerians, Cameroonians. And mixed martial arts MMA experienced a huge lift in awareness as some well-conditioned fighters thrilled audiences at the OFU Entertainment Street Fight Tournament, which took place at the National Stadium, Surulere, Lagos. And this was indeed awesome. And at the National Sport Festival, we have medalists, you know, gold, silver, and bronze medalists who also, you know, took part in this event. Let's indeed listen, you know, to the champions of different categories as far as the MMA is concerned. Okay, well, Amadi, your take as we call it a day on the show.
Well, we want to see more of this. It's not a very popular sport in Nigeria. I'm surprised that we can see this even at the Surulere Stadium, where, you know, you can gather a lot of people. You can just see the graphics now. I mean, we have men that are representing us, you know, in the international scene for the mixed martial arts. And it's one way of motivating also the youth, I mean, to get into sports. Yeah.
Well, Amadi, I must say very big thank you for being a part of the show tonight.
Pleasure.
It will be action attraction as far as the Champions League is concerned. From the arena, the Bavarians, where you have Bayern Munich, to indeed Seville in Spain, and the home ground of Atalanta in Italy. It promises to be juicy. That's where the cookies crumble on today's edition of the show. Me and our crew, and the production crew, dropping anchor.
Maladone for 3. It misses, forcing Porter to retreat into backcourt. Porter has had a rough start offensively to this season after a breakout year last year. Monte Morris dishes, Jokic dunks.
When they do it a little bit different, we talk about the Miami Heat. Miami Heat, a lot of one-on-one defenders, nice drop-off here to Adams on the interior. The Nuggets are able to do it because of the size of that corner 3.
Monte Morris to finish, and you see Jokic is just so crafty as a passer. With 5 or more assists, the only longer streak is Chris Paul. Jaren, another 3, banked it in. Timeout, Denver.
That has been the other difference here. The defensive three-pointers, the defensive three-pointers, and the offensive rebound.
Tyus walks into one.
57 big bench points for the Grizzlies.
The 17 points by Tyus, the most by a Grizzlies reserve this season. Dozier from the mid-range. Anderson going to the cup, backhanding it up and in. January the 21st in Denver, April the 7th in Denver.
Very important to continue to defend the three-point line.
Highland got the step. Morant spinning and scoring. Oh, what a play by Morant. And the Grizzlies win it tonight, 106-97. Grizzlies 4-3 on the
TVC Sport Desk. TVC Sport Desk.
Our happiest moments with babies are playtimes. Interrupting our game to change diapers would have made us both unhappy. Fortunately, we have Monfix Bands. With its elastic band that can stretch in all ways to fit well on babies, it does not lose its form, does not sag, so there's no need to change diapers frequently. Our games continue. Happiness movement spreads rapidly in all houses. Come on, mother. Try more fixed bands. Join our happiness movement.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past 3 years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company not just in Nigeria but throughout continental Africa to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Hello there, and thank you for joining us on the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Kemi Folademo. Today on the program, bandits kill 1 and kidnap 100 Baptist church worshippers in Kaduna State as gunmen storm the University of Abuja, kidnapping lecturers. Also on the program today, Governor Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State orders investigation into the collapsed 21-story building as rescue operation continues. And later on the show, Soludo Ozugbo and Uba call for dialogue with IPOB to ensure peace in the Southeast. I'll be hanging out today with Sami Bimere and Cyril Abaku. It's a pleasure to have you on the show again, Cyril. And of course, Sam, welcome to Journalist Hangout today.
Thank you.
And if you are ready, Journalist Hangout starts now. We begin in Kaduna State this time now, northwest Nigeria. Well, Kaduna is still far from its maddening banditry. On Sunday alone, armed bandits stormed the Baptist church in Kakao Daji community of Chico local government area of the state, killing 2 persons. They also abducted about 100 worshippers while they were still in a service. Meanwhile, gunmen stormed the staff quarters of the University of Abuja and abducted a professor of economics, Obana Joseph, as well as 2 of his children. Others were also kidnapped. Many Nigerians are of the view that the Uni Abuja attack is evitable, and that is how we begin our discussions at this time. I begin with you, Cyril. Well, to what extent could it indeed have been avoidable, talking about the attack at the University of Abuja staff quarters?
Well, there are a few... So first of all, yes, it could have been avoided entirely. This is an enclosed place. You have a university environment 20 minutes away from the international airport. Perhaps the senior shore of our aviation industry. Nnamdi International Airport is close to that place. So how didn't we pick up? This is not just about responding to it. How didn't we pick up the fact that such a thing was in the offing? How didn't we realize that this was coming? Because these bandits didn't just wake up one morning and off a whim say we are going to attack that place. They would have planned. They would have did some kind of survey, intelligence guarding themselves. They would have mapped out how they are going to approach that place, and then know the weak points to where they will apply pressure and get the most vulnerable. They kidnapped the professor, his children, his son. Another one, the professor, his son, his daughter. Another one. So you just know that these guys, there's a certain profile that matches their victims. So you're not looking at some rag people. These people have sat down, they planned. What are we doing with counter-planning, with counter-terrorism? What are we doing with also, being able to avert this sort of attack? It means effectively that if a place like that university can be attacked, no other place can be spared. Anyway, can that really be? After all, they told us the other time that Aso Rock had armed robbers attacking. So this is the issue. Security is a paramount issue, but what it is today is far from the appearance or similitude of someone being in real control of this of the situation. It's like every man is to himself. God for us all, the one that is that is let the devil take him. That attack could have been avoided, I believe, or could have been averted, I believe so, but we don't know what went wrong that gave them a field day. Because I think the SMS we saw that circulated, from lecturer to lecturer saying, let's pray for the release, reports are now suggesting that these people didn't just go and take them out in 5 minutes. So all the while that they were carrying girls, carrying boys, carrying one Professor 1, Professor 2 and his family, what was happening? How is it that there was no effort at all to rally to? So something is fundamentally, the very foundation of the security of the state is badly flawed. And if the foundation is that broken, there's nothing anybody can do about it.
All right, and report after report had it that the bandits, numbering 50 or so, operated for more than an hour. They even took base in a primary school, a public primary school at the back of the quarters. So many, accounts. But, these particular that I just dropped now just resonate across the varying reports. It's in Abuja of all places. So what is your take? How much of an issue is this for you? And especially if we look at the reactions now that we are seeing. First, the school is saying both staff and students must carry their ID cards at all time. The police also said it has mounted an interagency security operation across the school and, its environs. Sam?
Well, if government needs to, check how terribly bad our security situation has become, all it needs to do is just run through the regular features here on Journalist Hangouts. I've always said it that almost every week, more than 70% of the time, we sit down here and all we discuss is our internal security challenges. So it's a big problem. You call it an issue. It's a very big problem, and altogether, I'm not surprised, because it has become almost a daily occurrence that some of us have become, we just wake up believing that some kind of report, will go out there concerning our security situation. University of Abuja is not as protected as the NDA that was breached. So, I mean, the guys are basically having a field day, and we don't seem to have any answer to it. It's a shame, and all you hear is, well, we've got interagency, arrangements, we're chasing after them and all that. The bottom line at the end of the day is that these families are going to cough out money. The guys are in the business to make money. Now it's clear to us that this is not about, a group of people or criminals, going after some people because of their faith or whatever they believe in. The guys are just bandits, criminals who are out to make money by kidnapping. So what bothers me, and indeed most Nigerians who are watching our space, is that the government doesn't seem to have an answer to to all this, and it leaves the citizens in a situation where just like just as he said, it's God to us all and all man for himself. And we're not altogether surprised, because even those who are supposed to be watching over us are telling us to go carry arms and defend ourselves. And you wonder how much of that is really practicable. I mean, you and I are not licensed to carry the kind of guns the bandits carry all over the place. So even if you have the license, you can't, you're not licensed to carry an AK-47. What you probably will have is something that, can't confront anyone who is, properly armed. So all we can do at this forum is continue to, call out government to do what is needful. Their primary responsibility is to protect lives and property. It's a shame that just next door, and we have been warned in the past that these guys are very close to the seat of power. Now it's becoming, even more glaring that they can just walk in anywhere and pick anyone. If they could breach our, military institutions, I mean, what else? What else? And I think that authorities, especially those who have the task of managing our schools, we need to also begin to be proactive. The footage that I saw about University of Abuja, the staff quarters, indicated that there were no, there was no perimeter fencing, and so the guys just basically strolled in and then walked away using the bush path and all that. So what will the security agencies do but tell us that they're after them? I can tell you that at the end of the day, no culprits will be found, no sanction will matter that to any person, and families will just go home and lick their wounds and spend the little that they have saved over the years. It's a shame. Government must take responsibility. We can't stop talking about it. That is what they have signed up to do, and we've given them the power to do that on our behalf. Asking us to go carry our cross is playing the ostrich. They know that we cannot effectively defend ourselves without the law, empowering us to do as much as that. Otherwise, you have a descent into anarchy where everybody is carrying a gun to protect him or herself. And
the issue with this banditry, if you look at the terrors they're unleashing, not just in the northwest, but now we are seeing in elsewhere. If we look at the operations, the partners in crime, so to speak. Let's check out what is happening in Kaduna State, for example. Some have also said that this particular attack now, where hundreds of worshippers were kidnapped, as well as the murders that also occurred, was worsened. The problem was worsened due to the shutdown of telecom services. Where do you stand in this argument? Because this also seems to be an unresolved debate.
No, I for one, I was highly suspicious of the shutting down of telecom services. Now, if that suspicion was unfounded, what we have on our hands is clear evidence that whoever thought of that policy either didn't think it through thoroughly or just wanted to set the stage to worsen a very bad situation. How do you go to a place to kidnap up to 100 persons? How do you convey them from point 1 to point 2? Who is deceiving who in this country? We're not children. We're seeing this drama unravel. And I hope that, the people who are stoking this fire will, because there are questions that must be answered. You shut down telecom services. Now it has become counterproductive. Kemi, are you aware that the chairman of CAN in Kaduna State, in one of the reports in which was quoted, one of the relatives of the kidnappers was telling the family, one of the kidnappers was telling a relative of their victim that for the fact that they had to trek a long distance, to get what's it called, to get network to reach the family, that had now led to inflation in the industry of kidnapping, that now inflated the ransom that they are going to pay. Is it possible? So what they shutting out? So is anybody in the anti-terrorism unit and all those places, are they also being able to monitor this kind of phone calls and to triangulate and determine where these calls are emanating from, and to be able to use that as a means of getting across to them? But I'm not also foolish. These same bandits, there are Nigerians who have been visiting them, having conversations with them.
The informants.
Not informants. Informants are wanting to deal with. There are Nigerians who have been going to bandit camps across the northwest and maybe northeast or wherever, and I've been having meetings with them, and I've been coming back to tell us what the bandits said, true or false. So this is not the time to. For me, I'm saying that let God hasten the day when He will judge the haters of this country. I have not, because I can't take up a weapon. See what I was going to suggest. I was going to say that now that we find ourselves in this extremely porous circumstance, we find ourselves in a situation where nobody is defending you, you're on your own, it is every man to himself. Can government back up its statement about defend yourself by going to university campuses where you have staff quarters, going to police staff quarters, go to civil servant staff quarters, and start teaching self-defense. It shouldn't be left to the Boy Scout and civil and what's the other one? Man over. Can we now make self-defense a natural feature of our civil life? I wonder why people don't.
Assuming that is the way to go.
No, it can be a first step. This is the point. All the countries that even make compulsory military enrollment a national, as part of the national policy, these laws are born out of circumstance. If nothing was happening and we are brought to this sort of idea, we would have said to achieve what? But you need it, Kemi. Why do they teach young girls self-defense? It is because when the rapist comes, you find a way to ward him off. Every girl at the age of 13, 14, 15 must learn self-defense. There are schools where you will have to learn it. It is for your self-protection. So if as a country we have come to this crossroads, we've come to this, we've already passed the tipping point. But just to say whatever is left of it, we must be able. The reality is this. Let me even explain. In the US, there's a debate about gun control. But the fact is that if somebody knows that you have a weapon, that you are armed, and he wants to come after you, he will think twice.
But then see where that has also, led the US to. Let me put you on hold, okay. Cyril. We will get back, get more feel of this topic from you. But let's hear from Sam.
Okay, yeah. I think the issue here is the sincerity on the part of our leaders, concerning whether they really do mean what they say when they ask citizens, to defend themselves. We have had calls, even by governors, who have said, let everyone, bear arms and defend themselves. But I have argued here, that without proper regulation, I fear that we're going to, descend into anarchy. We already have a crisis on our hands where our security operatives appear to have lost control, okay, of, securing, lives and property. So what happens when people just wake up and everybody is carrying arms? It's going to be difficult. So it boils down to government doing what is right and showing some sense of urgency in what needs to be done. What we have at the moment is a situation where the government is so laid back, nobody appears to be taking the situation very serious, in spite of all the stats that, stare us in the face. So we seem to have, raised up our hands in surrender and say, okay, fine, things will sort out themselves. But it's not happening that way. The whole thing appears to be turned into a huge joke. And I don't want to believe the reports that we have read, that the same bandits told their victims that, look, because, it cost us more money to go search, to go access network elsewhere, then you have to pay more. It's a shame. The irony of it is that you have technology as a vehicle that can help you fight this war.
Okay, and then put you on hold. Okay. We have our very first caller, engineer Fola from Songota. I hope I got your name right. Welcome to the program. Carry on, please.
Yes. Good evening. The girls in the house, Engineer Afolabi. I'm calling from Songo, Ogun State. You see, we are in a dilemma of which everybody is now in panic. How do I feel if at night or at morning time I just discover that I am kidnapped or my relatives? I think the problem of communication, we shut down the communication and the thing is getting worse and worse. I think we are not getting results on that aspect. What I will suggest is that the government will reinstall the communication gadgets so that at least it will still help things like the one that happened in Abuja now. Maybe if or in Kaduna, maybe if there had been a communication gadget, there would have been alert on the security agents And again,
all right,
I believe that there are kind of conspiracies.
All right. All right, thank you so much. I'm afraid we've run out of time, and thank you for that point that you just, chipped in. But let me get your final take on this topic.
Yeah, I was going to stress the fact that we need technology to prosecute this war. And then here we are, resolving to, dump technology in favor of some other means of. And so that's the sort of situation we have on our hands. And I'd like to say here, because some of us have, friends in the military or contacts within the military, and I've had a high-ranking officer in the military, and I say this with every sense of, modesty, say to me that the decision to turn off those networks are indeed, hindering their job. I say this on my honor. So if someone who is an operative and is on ground is complaining, then you can imagine the kind of, situation we have on our hands. So we seem to have a trial and error kind of thing. I don't see strategy in what has played out, because you need technology to prosecute this war. Now, if we're relying on local networks to be able to communicate, then you ask yourself, what is available to our soldiers, to our security operatives, to do their jobs better? You're talking about intelligence gathering. Does it require you to start walking on the streets to ask people what is happening? No, you need tech.
But the bandits have very strong foot soldiers.
We need strategy, and I get back to my earlier point that the bandits also have informants who are strategic to their work.
Of course, they work with intelligence.
Absolutely.
They work with intelligence.
Okay, so if we can even establish the lack of telecom services as a basis for this horrendous attacks in Kaduna, how do you explain, Abuja? Okay, someone is in a place where there is a raid by criminals, and you put a call through to the police force, closest to you. How difficult can that be now to respond, to warrant why these guys can operate for an hour at least?
Yeah, so I think the answer is in the question, because all the people you want to run to are also afraid for their own lives. Do you remember a story one time we had about a police, was he a DP also, that was kidnapped, and that whether they paid the ransom to release him or something? So this is where we are. They are afraid for themselves as well. There's nothing to, and again.
So back to Sam's point,
there's something Sam must,
that they are not even kitted.
Yes, and about sincerity. Look, the fact is this: the program has to be two-pronged. I say it again. One, while you're dealing with the enemy and incapacitating him, you must now give capacity to the victim to make sure that. All right. The victim is his own first line of defense.
Okay, I put you on hold again. We have Garba from Makode. Welcome. Please carry on. And please make it brief.
All right, good evening. You see, my take on this, honestly, if the government does not address the issue of unemployment, there is no way that we can succeed in this issue. The truth. Let's tell them the truth. You see, it's not the first time that they entered a school. They did it in Zaria, Polytechnic. They do it in Kaduna. And if you look at it, they now come in Abuja. They do it in Niger State. If they think that they are safe in Abuja, they are not safe also. Honestly, they need to do the needful. Issue of unemployment needs to be addressed. If not, I'm sorry to say they have a nice day in Lagos.
Thank you very much, Garba. Thank you very much. Okay, so Cyril?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I was saying was that, look, it must be two-pronged. You must now go back, because every citizen must be his own first line of defense. We've had when people say there are many light arms and weapons across Nigeria, there are arms are everywhere. In whose hands are these arms and weapons? They are in the hands of those.
What's the level of regulation?
It is in the hands of those in whose hands they shouldn't be. So when you mop those up, you make sure that, and it must be weapons, anyways, it must be the ability for somebody to be able to defend himself if he is attacked by the wrong person. If we don't do that, what else are we going to do? I maintain again that if those bandits who went to the Kaduna Baptist Church, how many were there that were able to round up more than 100 people?
How do you even transport?
Those people were clearly out of their wits. They didn't know what to do, so they just perhaps willingly said, let's usually just go, so to avoid being killed or being injured. That's what happened. Is that the way it should be?
Okay, but sorry. as beautiful as
the
argument is, you know that you and I will need legislation to get these things through. Fine. But it boils down to how are we able to maximize or optimize the kind of architecture, security architecture that we have even laid in place for the protection of lives and property in this country. I think there are just too many gaps.
All right. Well, Sam, I want Cyril to address that issue of regulation of gun ownership, if indeed we get, if and when we get to that point.
No, it means that we are now going to rework our national security policy, beginning with the citizen as the first man to defend himself and to see that the defense of himself as the defense of the republic. That is the first thing that ought to be done. And then there will be regulation. We can borrow from what obtains in other climes. Your level of training, there should be this where you can go be trained and be certified, determines the set of weapon that you're going to hold. And please don't get me wrong. I didn't even think of gun ownership as the solution to the problem. What I was talking about was basically self-defense. That if somebody came into your space, you are fully equipped to be able.
First reaction.
Yeah, and so if gun ownership was going to be part of the equation, so be it. So be it.
All right. We'll rest the conversation at this point. Take a break, and that is very much needed. We'll continue to Journalists Hangout, for more. Please stay with us.
The TVC News at 7 and the TVC News at 10 are not like any other news broadcast.
It's the big news hour, the hour for breaking stones.
We've got some of the best reporters on the field,
taking you through as it happens.
It's fast-paced, hard-hitting,
with investigations that matter.
bringing in news that affects your life.
With sport, entertainment, and business news, so you don't miss a thing.
Experience resourceful coverage with depth.
Every night.
In the month of November, 25 years ago, on the 7th of November, an ADC airline flight crashed at Ejinri, a suburb of Lagos, killing 114 passengers and crew. This again brings the aviation sector under focus. On the 10th of November 1995, Niger Delta environmental activist Ken Sarawiwa was executed by hanging. 26 years after, has the question that led to his death been answered? The 14th is dedicated to creating awareness on diabetes, which is responsible for over 1.5 million deaths globally per year. On the 16th, the world marks International Day for Tolerance. And on the 17th, International Students' Day will be marked. 19th is for the male gender on International Men's Day. And on the 25th, efforts to end gender-based violence take center stage as the world marks International Day for the elimination of violence against women. Stay with TVC News.
Welcome back to TVC News. Of course, you're watching Journalists Hangout. We talk about the ugly tale of collapsed buildings in Nigeria, especially in Lagos here. This latest case, of course, continued on Monday, where a 21-story building in the Ikoyi area of Lagos caved in, with many people trapped in the rubble. And Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has now ordered an investigation into the collapsed building, which was under construction, while the number of casualties continues to rise, and efforts to rescue other victims are also ongoing. There's so many questions, regarding this particular one in Ikoyi, the highbrow part of Lagos, of course. Okay, so let me come to Cyril. Cyril, what kind of investigation are we talking about?
Well, what the governor said is that, or what the state government has said is that 2 investigations are going to go on at the same time. First is the state government's own internal control mechanisms to find out what might have gone wrong. And number 2, another investigation by an independent panel comprising relevant professional organizations like the architects, builders, and so on. So these two will go together, and then we are going to see what comes out of them. Now, as you might already be aware, the governor has ordered the indefinite suspension of the head of the building agency. So this is where we are at the moment. What we also do know was that when the deputy governor went to the scene of the incident, he did confirm that that building had been marked.
It was even sealed.
And shut down for, sealed actually, that's what I wanted to use, for 4 months because of anomalies. I cannot independently verify a letter I saw yesterday in which, dated, I think, for February last year.
2020.
Yes, in which a service provider to the project had actually said that they couldn't
vouch for the
continue with the project because they couldn't vouch for the integrity and authenticity of materials being used, you know. So when you put all of this together, my personal conclusion, first of all, is this: that building collapsed long ago.
That's the truth.
That building collapsed long ago, and without making light of those who have died, the people whose, and may their souls rest in peace, the victims of yesterday's collapse became victims long ago. What we saw yesterday was just a ritual, was just the culmination of perhaps negligence, some kind of negligence, because if indeed within a system a project had been sealed and said this thing is, there are anomalies, we sense foul play here, the materials are inferior, we do not trust whatever is going on here, on whose authority was it now unsealed? And on whose authority did work now resume?
All right, we'll try to make sense of all these issues that are paramount for you. Let me compare your concerns now with that of Sam's. For you, what questions would you be asking now?
Same questions that are already out there in the public. Who gave approval for work to be done? If there was an instruction to seal up the place, who unsealed it? Who authorized work to proceed, even with the government decision to seal up the place? Those for me are critical questions.
Let me even add, Sam, well, in contrast to what Cyril said, that the building had collapsed, way before it happened. But then we have eyewitnesses on ground yesterday saying it didn't even show any signs of cracking. There were no signs, at least to the outside eyes.
They wouldn't know, probably because they are not experienced. The structural engineers, again, if we trust that letter that went viral yesterday, as far back as almost 21 months ago, had said, look, we can't continue to be part of this project. And that could have been top secret. So those of them who are operatives, you can call them laborers on site, probably didn't know much of this. And that's why Cyril said, this was a disaster waiting to happen. So the critical question is, if government sealed the place some 4 months ago, how did the owners of the property, what audacity, led to the owners of the property asking workers to return, to site and continue with work? And if he acted on his own, why did the authorities not do the needful? Who shut his eyes, to the development? And that is why, one would commend what the governor has done, but that wouldn't be enough. Asking the building control GM to, go on indefinite suspension, you just want one part of it. In fact, the questions, the answers to the questions that need to be asked are just there. And we hope and trust that this investigation wouldn't take, ages. Because it's clear, those who were involved in the project at some point said, no, we don't feel safe, we don't want to be part of this anymore. The man who owned the place decided to turn his back on government orders, and proceed with work. So we expect that the investigations will be carried out and findings made public as soon as possible. And of course, it shouldn't be the kind of stuff that we have had in the past where we had, story buildings, collapsing somewhere in Lagos. Remember the synagogue incident? We don't know what has become of the findings till date. So So these are the concerns of Nigerians. Nothing should be swept under. The facts are just there. I still can't make sense of some of the images I've seen. I saw since today. Traumatizing. I mean, seeing people just it's horrible. It's horrible. And to imagine that, suspicions are that many more persons will be probably buried under the place. It's a pity, really. And what the government needs to do is ensure that whatever decisions that have been taken in terms of probing the incident should be done very quickly, findings made public, and people punished for the role they played in this disaster.
Well, Femi Oshibono has been in the news. Of course, the internet is replete with interview after interview talking about the kind of person he is, internationally renowned, for building properties of this magnitude. And sadly, we get to this point that we have to talk about him in this kind of manner. But I really don't know how to craft this question. But for Cyril, for you, what questions would you want to be asking? Okay, we first heard that at a point he was even trapped. He was carrying out inspections with highly reputable people, and we don't even know his whereabouts. There are also reports of him being arrested, and all that. But specifically for you, what do you think went wrong?
No, sir. I think I'd like to ask him if this has been done in the UK. I think is Portugal, South Africa, and so on. So what happened? Why? What made this different? I would like to find that out. I would like to know, is it the Nigerian soil, is it the Nigerian water, is it the Nigerian air? I would like to know, because there is the fear, and it may not be fair to just single out a name, because this sort of this magnitude of, I don't know what to call it now,
disaster
of what you're seeing can't be traced to one person alone. People, because it takes two to tango. You cannot. This is the Nigerian system again that we cry out about all the time. When people are sure, or when people have the confidence that they can do things and get away with them. You remember one that happened in Lekki? I think where you have House on the Rock, that road leading down.
Yeah,
yes,
it's about 4-story or 5-story building there.
It was being developed. You saw what happened on Lagos Island. So somehow I think we have a culture of sweeping things. Once the news cycle ends, everything ends. But the fact is that we must continue to ask these questions. It is not a good thing that people are taking advantage of the common social need for shelter. People, because of the population, because of the high end, because of the increasing number of people who are perhaps transiting into the upwardly mobile class, and so housing will continue to remain a need for many. We must get to the root of this. I would like to ask, what really went wrong in this case? In the words of
the Building Collapse Prevention Guild, that will be the MD or so for the Koyi Obalende cell, he says something went wrong technically for a building of that scale on the construction to collapse if it wasn't pulled down, or explosives planted, therein for it to have, just come down. Like you said, the videos are really something to describe. But back to the question I asked Cyril about the MD of Foscol Heights. What could have gone wrong if indeed something technical went wrong?
We can only hazard guesses here. We can only hazard guesses. Probably inferior, materials were used in the construction. And that has also been, circulated. That allegation had been made. I don't want to sit down here and draw conclusions. Absolutely. For a property of that magnitude, some level of professionalism ought to have, attended its development. So there are things that you do that the experts do, testing the soil, testing the integrity of the work that has been done. The questions to ask, were all this done? The other important question that should also be asked, when the other structural engineer turned down the offer to continue with the project, who else was recruited? How knowledgeable was he? Why did he resolve go ahead to work with the property developer, knowing that certain issues have been raised concerning the integrity of the building.
All right. Well, that said, gentlemen, let me introduce our guest for this hour now to help make sense of this burning issue. The president of the Nigerian Institute of Building. He's also the former president of the Building Collapse Prevention Guild. Kunle Awobudu, thank you so much for joining in on Journalists Hangout at this time. Okay, first off, so look at the scenario that played out in that February 2020 circulation, that correspondence between the engineers and MD Forshaw Heights. So what should have happened after an engineer, says he cannot continue, he doesn't believe in the vision of, the owners of a building he was helping to develop, as from fourth floor? Please take it up from there.
Yes. Naturally, one should salute the courage of the engineer, of the MD of that company that wrote the letter. That happened to be prowess, yes. However, you should not stop at just writing a letter to dissociate yourself from such a sensitive project. What's stopping from going further to inform the authority, the concern, or the regulatory bodies that this is a project that I was handling as for structural supervision or as structural engineer. However, there is a disagreement on procedure. So, to maintain our reputation, we are withdrawing. Assuming this letter, we got the acknowledgement letter, copy of that letter, and also it was confirmed by LASCA officials or GF that they received this letter and nothing was done. So we should learn from this experience. When professionals are withdrawing from a project and you notice that the project continues without following due process, then you withdraw the attention of the appropriate authority to sanction the developer. This kind of disaster we are witnessing could have been avoided. So honestly speaking, it has become a belabored matter for those of us who have been committed to this evangelism on prevention of building collapse. We have been on this assignment for a very long time. And the press too could also be advised not to only wait for when a building collapses before you help us hype on the need to observe the regulations, and then
Mr. Obudu, let me also interrupt to also ask that you explain what happens when the government says it sealed a property under construction, and then 4 months after we see, going by the report circulating, that they are back at work. At what point does the government, or what conditions must be satisfied before the government okays resumption of construction activities? And can that be bypassed? How can you really go back without the government's knowledge or permission now to continue working? Help us in that regard too.
May I let you know that Ikoyi is the eyebrow, #1 eyebrow location we have in Nigeria. So any development in that area In fact, any LASCA official in that area is always cautious. Developers and landlords in that area are very, very influential. Political influence is a problem some of these LASCA officials have been facing. We were aware of this. It is people like us that can talk on this issue. But you know, government officials will not complain.